You, you want me to? You want me to talk now?
Peace and Grand Rising. This is March the 24th, 1443 on the ancient moon calendar, 1444 on the ancient, actually the Islamic civil calendar, and 1442 on the ancient sun calendar. All rises stand and remain standing into perpetuity. We are the sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, natural, defined, Article 3, Moroccan, Moorish, American Consular Court. Our full faith, credit, trust, energy are vested in ourselves, for we are the de jure Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish American Consular Court, and the entire state of Morocco. Okay, go ahead, nobility.
Islam. This is Jade Michael, Illinois Territory. There's a noble in jail. I think you talked to him. His name is Kashif. He said he talked to you recently. And, you know, I've been emphasizing to him he's got to be like the broken record, like you had suggested when you were in. And, you know, they keep trying to contract with him, telling him, you know, he's going to have a trial and this, that, and the third. And he keeps kind of swaying on that. It's important, you know, for him to do that. Like you said, you got to know that you can get yourself out. But you just mentioned sending some documents for somebody that's in there. Is there something else I can send for him that would help him? You just mentioned you were going to send somebody some documents. I was wondering if I needed to do that for Kashif.
Yes, we all need to do that. We all need to do it. So the documents are the ones that are already out there under this video. They'll be under this video. And then there's one other document that we have recently begun sending. And when we sent that one, they couldn't even take the Empress at all. They did their song and dance because they have to knock 3 times, according to their Masonic oath. They have to knock 3 times. But let me give you, let me put that document on the screen. Let's see.
Is any of those documents a fiduciary document that we will be doing for them or in their behalf or sending in for them?
Are they judiciary documents?
Fiduciary. No, you were saying the fiduciary Moorish Empire State Fiduciary. The documents that we're doing as fiduciary.
Yes.
Is that one of the documents we would send in their behalf, because he hasn't been able to do the fiduciary document?
Yes, that is one of them. That is one that we send. Okay.
Yeah.
What we have been doing is we get their appellation, their sovereign-born appellation that their sovereign mother gave them. We put that in red in all lowercase letters on the name change and judicial proclamation document. And we do the 6 documents for them. We put a lien if they haven't done that, but again, Moors have to do it. You have the authority to do it right now. Before anything happens, it needs to be done right now. A lien on that fake social, that corporate social, and the nom de guerre war name. Okay, and then we send the lien that we did and got that stamped by the lower court witnesses. We send that one to them as well, letting them know they're liened, whoever it is, they're liened already, because they were all under the United States Corporation Company. We send the fiduciary document. screen right now is the latest one that we have started sending. Here, let me put this one on the screen. This document is on.
Your mic cut off just as you were just about to say we send the fiduciary document, and then your mic cut off.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. So this document that's on the screen right now, let me just take a look here. It is called the Aliyah Writ of Habeas Corpus. So we've talked about this briefly before, but we do need to, you see it there on the screen, so you can screenshot the document and then craft it for yourself. And for anyone who is in those places, okay? The Aliyah Writ of Habeas Corpus. Aliyah is whenever anyone, and this is ancient history, okay? Whenever any one of us or anyone is outside of our land, okay? And when by outside of our land, meaning thinking that we're a citizen, and we're charged with something, or we think we're charged with something, but they grab that straw and that nom de jure and charge it and say, this is you. We can proclaim Aliyah, and Aliyah really means the return back to the homeland of the chosen people, back to the homeland. So what does that mean? That means that we go back to our homeland in our hearts, because this is our homeland. So we don't have to relocate. We have to know that we're on our own land. And when we know that we're on our own land, then we have to agree never to go back to citizen subject status under a corporation. And then everything is done away with. All dismissed, all charges dropped against anything that's holding us, that was pretending to hold us, okay? Those people that are doing business, or that were doing business as fake Jews, they were using that all the time. So whenever one of them would do something, okay, and I don't know whether, I'm not saying they're guilty, I'm just saying whenever they would do something or have any run-ins with the policy enforcers of any magnitude, then they would claim Aliyah, and whenever they would claim Aliyah, they had to pack their bags and fly over to fake Israel, the corporate Israel, and stay there. And they can't leave out of there anymore, or else if they leave there and go someplace else and get caught up again, then all of the charges from before follow them. So when you hear about people who commit a crime and all of a sudden they disappear, or they supposedly die in jail, and you never see a funeral, you never see any of that, that's what they're doing. They're claiming Aliyah and claiming to be Jews and going over there. They have a specific program for those claiming Aliyah. Yes, in the chat. I won't say that on the but yes, like that.
So this document is the Aliyah document you're speaking of?
This is it.
And this is what you want?
We crafted this document recently, okay, for one of the empresses at Florida territory. And what it says here, it says, as prophesied in the Holy Bible, biblioteliotext, by the holy sibyl in Ezra and Nehemiah, the return to Zion, and then we put some Hebrew, this is what Aliyah means, the return to Zion.
Okay.
And then we put Empire State of Morocco interest number 1, and then you would put in blue, for example, if it was me. If it was me that was, you know, being charged with something, then you would, this is not me. Now remember, again, this is an Empire State of Morocco interest. In other words, the state has interest in this conveyance method, because this is a conveyance method. This is not me. Okay, and then I would put the social security number, and I would put that in all lowercase letters. And then I would put the number, and of course we're not going to put any dashes or anything. This is what we put. That is the state's security interest. That is a ward of the sovereign state. That's a ward of the sovereign state. So, you know, we're in red in all lowercase letters, and it says it right here. We are the sovereign living justice, in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in proprio personas juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio redes. So this is a court action also. And then if there is another someone, the ones that we did it for in Florida, it was a mother and child. And they had put out stuff on the news, and not the news, but in the newspaper about her. So here's what happened, Morris. Whenever they said that they were claiming their interest, because that's really what the United States Corporation Company does, is they're claiming an interest in something in a dead court. Okay? Whenever they claim their interest, they have to knock 3 times, and if they don't, once this is put in, they're going to come and look for their corpse. So they came 3 times to look for her. And it wasn't her they were looking for their corpse. Well, because she did not answer to the corpse, they didn't kick doors in or anything like that, and she was present. She was present, not the court. She was present. They knocked and they left, and then the next day they came again and they left, and then one more time they went around to I believe it was a relative's domicile and knocked and asked if she was there. No, the one they're looking for is not there because corpses are in the graveyard. And when they did that, that was their 3 times. And then they put something in the newspaper saying that their corpse had been arrested. Now, how did I find that out? I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, look, she said they put it in the newspaper that their corpse was arrested. I said, I told you, they're not looking for you. They're looking for a corpse.
Right.
They've arrested the debtor. Okay. Okay. They're looking for debtors. And that's why we were not worried when they issued, because remember, Morris, we've been talking about those 3 contracts that are associated with the birth certificate, the social security number that the United States Corporation Company was claiming, because it's in black and it's in a casket, it's in those brackets. That's how you know the difference between a sovereign state interest and something dead. Okay? And it was in black ink and all capital letters in the newspaper. And they said that corporate, they even named the city as a corporation. Let's just say if the city was Miami, they said Miami Incorporated, Florida, has arrested, and they named their corpse in black ink in all capital letters And she was telling me, and then she sent it to me so I could see what it looked like. I said, I told you, they're not looking for you. They were looking for their corpse. They were looking for the dead. And because you did not answer to that, they could not do anything to her because, again, corporations talk to corporations. Corporations can only speak to other corporations, whether it be a living corporation or a dead corporation. That's why the fiduciary document is so important. And if you have heirs or if there's another more, we can put them on the fiduciary document because, again, those are instruments that they're using, that they created. Those are fakes that they created. Our real ones are on the fiduciary document. The living instruments that convey credit are on our fiduciary documents. But that's why we send the lien on the United States Corporation Company. That's why we send the lien on them. Because we're leaning their ability to use any court, anything, and try and pin that on the Moors, the living. So this document, we put this on the public record, and here it says, the state does hereby invoke Aliyah, habeas corpus for the parties of interest, thereby returning the said parties back to the custody of this sovereign state. Allegiance has been verified and is hereby placed on the public record into perpetuity. In alignment with said return, the following are part and parcel of this lawful and legal written cause. And then we said this court action is notification to the custodial subjects that the state does claim sole interest. And look how we spell soul, interest. That's a living soul, because see, they can't claim a living soul, they can only claim dead ones. And issues this sovereign command that all interest is part and parcel for the state. And that's the sovereign state. That's why it's in red in all lowercase letters. It says, custodian shall perform the act accordingly. Corporate interest is notwithstanding. Then we said all state benefits shall resume in accordance with Article 1 of this court action and in alignment with the Constitution for the United States, 1789 and 1791. And when we talk about state benefits, we're talking about anything that was coming to the Moor beforehand. For example, if they were a veteran, then their veteran benefits must continue. If they were, and they need to be back paid because that was improper jurisdiction. It was actually unlawful and illegal jurisdiction. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure you can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you just fine. I hear you pretty good.
Okay, good. All right. So thank you, nobility. And then number 3 says all other state resources that are available for the growth, erudition, and well-being for the said interest is hereby made available. This sovereign state court has original jurisdiction in all matters of interest at all times. And then we talk about the autographs of the original indigenous heirs on the public record because we put many, many, many on the public record. And that's the end of the document. Okay, so it's a very short document. It's 1 page. This is the title of it, Aliyah. In other words, we're calling Allah back to home, to the homeland. The return of all Moors back to their homeland. And then we put a call for action number there. And the call for action number, for example, if we were doing it, if we were sending this today or crafting this today, then we would say, and that would be in blue. And then today's date is, let's see, 43/03/24. It's 1443. 2000.
Can you hear me? You went out again.
Three, 24. Okay. Or we'll say March 24th, 1443. However you want to put that. Okay. And then the court action language, of course. And here, for those who are in this meeting, I'm going to post this this sentence in the chat so that you can copy it with the and this sentence is very important because it defines Aliyah. Okay, and we'll take a look at that really quickly.
Are you going to post this document as well?
This document will be posted under this video, and in fact, I'll just take a moment and link it. Okay, so let me explain Aliyah really quickly. So, as prophesied in the Holy Bible, they knew, and the reason we're quoting the Holy Bible for those who don't know, the Holy Bible is a trust document, and it's just like the Constitution. We push that down on them, and we hold them under it. Okay? As prophesied in the Holy Bible, the Bibliothek, by the Holy Sibyls in Ezra and Nehemiah, the return to Zion, that's what Aliyah is. In the Hebrew, this is Aliyah. In Roman, it's Shiva Zion, Shivat Zion, or Shivai Zion, okay? And then it literally means Zion returnees, those coming back to. And this word returnees is the opposite of attorneys. It's the opposite of attorney. And so we know that we're the chosen people. We know that. To say we're chosen is not even really a thing, simply because we're the only real people. We have dominion over all else. And scientifically, that is true. So we need to be sure that we keep these things in mind as we're moving forward, because things have sped up and we're getting way more calls, texts, emails of people saying, I need help, I need help. If you go out on social media, you'll see it. I need help, I need help. Well, these are the only reason that most people know to even contact us for help is because they've been sitting, and I'm not mad about that. But those who are sitting, who are doing this, need to know you need to get active and get these documents on the public record, and then get active in your nation. Demonstrate your sovereign status at every chance you get. Never be outside of your sovereign status. I don't care what benefits they're offering. Get the benefits as the heir, because you're the creditor to those benefits. Okay? If you'll give me just a moment, I will go ahead and link this document so that you have the document as well. And then you can edit the document according to your needs. Okay, and then this is the third part of that document. And down here, you know, the Empress that we were assisting, she was getting certain benefits and things like that, and we wanted her benefits to continue because they are actually our state benefits and not a fake corporation state benefit. And everything went very smoothly with regard to them not taking her. And then there's some things that she had to do after this. And I'll say that she did a beautiful job. After the demonstration where we assisted her, she then got busy sending her own documents out because they were still trying to come at her, but that was a test of her competence. Okay? we know that what we did worked because, again, they took their credits, their debtor. They took their debtor with them. And the dead buried the dead. Well, now you have the heir there, and the heir has to show competence at what she's doing. And so she began sending out some very powerful documents, and all she did was look at the ones that we were sending, go out and do some research, speak with other, other Moors, and look back at the videos and do her study because she was determined. And all she did after that point was copy me on the documents because she knew the spirit just kicked in her, and she had not even been, it still hasn't even been a whole year that she's been awake. And she's writing some of the most powerful documents because she's determined. And she knows that there's her estate is at stake. So the work does not stop with just one demonstration or just one victory. We have to keep moving and keep getting the victory. Okay?
Islam.
Islam nobility.
Okay, now these documents that we're sending in behalf of the inmates, that includes this, right? This document you're saying. Whom do we send them to other than on the public record? Like Secretary of State? I mean, is there anybody else we send these 6 documents to on their behalf?
Yes. Think about the question and think about who is it that's trying to claim the heirs. Who's trying to claim the heirs? Who's trying to call the heirs property? Well, the Secretary, the office of the Secretary of State, once you lien them, needs to be notified, but you got to lien them first. Lien that corporate covering off of them. And then whatever court it is, that, or fake court rather, or corporate court that was supposedly holding them. Because see, jails don't really hold more. It's those fake courts that hold more, because that's where it starts and stops. So you have to notify those fake courts that they're fake and that the real subjects need to stand up and honor the Constitution that we put them under. So you would put his sovereign-born appellation, because that's what they're holding them under. They're not holding them under sovereign-born appellations. Let me clarify that. They're holding them under nom de jure, war names. Okay, so we have to take that nom de jure war name away by leaning. And this is a labor of love that we do for those that are in there that we love. And then we've shown you in the past what the difference is between a nom de jure, a nom de jure war name and the sovereign-born appellation. The nom de jure war name is something that a war corporation invented. And all they did really was just hypothecate and subrogate. Okay? So, here, let me go ahead, go back again and link that.
The other question I had, and several inmates or Moors, they want to do the nationality and all of that. It's not that easy to do it if you're out of prison.
How come nobody's taking over any domiciles? What's going on?
Hold on, Moor.
What's up with that, you dumb sheep? Bear! Bear! Follow what Pauline says, you dumbasses.
That's the pink guy.
Come on, how come you're not buying conveyances?
Yeah, it is. Hold on.
You're pink, man.
He's a subject.
Absolutely.
And he is designed to dissuade those who.
Come on, folks, what's wrong, you black folks? How come nobody's buying? How come nobody's buying?
Hold on just a moment.
That's funny.
Okay. Here, let me go to the drive and pull this up so I can get you a link really quickly. Well, go ahead, Nobility.
Yeah, basically, you know, they wanted to know how they could nationalize, and I don't see an easy way to do that if they're in there. So do you submit their paperwork for them? Because even Kashif, the more that we're talking about, he said the judge wants to see his ID. That's not really necessary, but we're trying to get his ID in there. Is that necessary for him to see it? Because they know he's a Moor.
So they're going to have you jumping through a bunch of hoops and things like that just to see if you'll do what they say. When was the last time they asked somebody for some darn ID once they're already in jail? When was the last time that happened? So all they're really trying to do is see if you will do what they say.
Yeah. It's like getting jurisdiction.
Yes, of course, because first they'll say, well, can you do that? Then they'll say, well, can you do this too? Then they'll say, well, we need this and this and this and this. We need a Social Security card, and we need this and this. Because all they're going to do is try and get you to cop to a contract.
Yeah, to act, and then you kind of
So that's why when you speak more, and see, some have a problem with this, but we got to get over it. When you speak by affidavit, that's what you do, and you let your word be the word, okay? Your word has to be the word. And when I say your word has to be the word, we say the same thing repeatedly until they get it. And that's not something that we don't know about. We actually had to do it, and y'all know the story. We say it until they get it. The link to this document is in the chat. Okay. So we have to do court actions so that we know that what we're saying is true. Because Moors will say things and then they'll waver sometimes and we get it, I get that. But we cannot waver. We have to say the same thing repeatedly. And I don't care how sweet they try to talk, we have to say the same thing repeatedly because they're like children.
Your court action bullshit doesn't work, Pauline, and you know that it doesn't. Nobody has ever.
He's speaking. He's speaking. Just quiet from the land of the dead. Quiet. Okay. So and again, more that's designed to deter you. That kind of interruption and things, and it's not really an interruption for us because we're the living. But for those who can hear that, that's designed to deter you. Okay? So know that we are absolutely saying and doing all the right things. So this document, as far as putting it on the record for those who are in their nobility, we can do a name or appellation change, a judicial proclamation. We can do those first 6 documents for them as fiduciaries because, again, they're holding them under instruments that is not them. So we have to do away with those instruments and then put the creditor instruments there. Okay? The creditor instruments look a lot like the debtor instruments, but they're not the same. They're not issued by the same government. They're not a government. We're the government. We have to issue the true instrument. And ward of the state name, which state are we talking about? That's the deal. Which state are we talking about? Okay, so those first 6 actions that we always talk about, Morris, get those 6 actions in your minds and in your heart so that so that you can, here, I'll put the 6 actions on the screen as well so that you can see them. We'll list them again because this is important for anything, you know. And I'll confess to you, Morris, that when people come and they say, I need some help, and they want you to drop everything you're doing to help them, but they've been sitting on the sidelines for a year and a half, haven't even declared their nationality because everything was fine. Everything was fine. They didn't have any issues, but then they got pulled over one day. And then you're supposed to drop everything that you're doing. You're studying for, you know, for things and demonstrating and all that. You're supposed to stop all of that and help them immediately. That can be, you know, that's my confession is I'm looking like this. No, like, you better get those documents on the post that you've been hearing about all this time. We can't wait. We don't have time to wait. Our heirs can't wait. Our estate can't wait. We have to get these documents on the public record and then demonstrate them. Yes, go ahead, Nobility.
I'm going to use the floor, but I want to ask you about those charter and constitution documents that you mentioned that we would have to use for each city and state. I was wondering if you ever posted the charter documents and the constitution.
I haven't posted them because I haven't posted them under these videos because what needs to happen, Nobility, is each more. It doesn't matter if you domicile right next door to a more. Each more needs to pull up the Constitution for the territory that they domicile in. So this is something you can do. Okay, and we're asking for the help of all Moors to get this done across our land. For example, I'm at Washington Territory, Seattle, Washington Territory, which is ancient Washington, District 4, Columbia. That's why everything over here says Columbia everywhere. So I went and looked up the Washington State Constitution, or you can look up the State of Constitution. Copy and paste it onto Moorish government letterhead, and then edit it. Put it in blue in capitals diminutio minima, and go through it and edit it accordingly. In blue.
Because we did the Constitution in red before. I don't know if it was a color. Okay.
We did. Now, this is why I say the state constitution in blue.
Okay.
Because the Empire State, the overarching, and the federal constitution that we put on the public record is in red, in all lowercase letters.
Yeah.
And then, see, people talk about government structure. The structure, the hierarchy, is the universal, which is the Empire State. That's a universal state. That's the Moorish divine and national movement of the whole earth. And the Constitution for the United States is a document that is an earth-wide document. So we put it in red in all lowercase letters because that is the ultimate invocation of the highest sovereign status for that document. And then where government hierarchies are concerned, underneath that is going to be the states. Because
I want to ask you something. Didn't you say that there are no more states, it's just the Moroccan state And would the other ones just be territories instead of states? Because it's only one state, right?
Okay, so that's a good question. The territories, this territory is Washington, period.
Yeah, but it's not a state.
It's not the state of Washington.
Right.
It's not any of that. It's just Washington. And I can call it a territory. I can call it a reservation. I can call it New Jerusalem.
But not a state.
New Jerusalem. It's not a state like that. It's
okay,
a territory.
that's what I want to get clear.
That's why they're one word. There's no other words attached to that. It's Washington. That's why it's in blue, because it's a territory under the empire.
So we're not to use it as a state. It should be a territory, right?
It can be used as a state, and the reason I say it can be used as a state is because, again, the empire is we know what the word empire means. The empire state is the state of the earth. And that's why that is at the top of our document. So then when you get down into the meat of the document or the title of the document, underneath that, it's going to say Washington, Washington Constitution, New Jersey Constitution, Georgia Constitution, all of that. Why is that important? It's important because that's where the commerce, so what we're doing when we put those on the public record, and please send them to us when you do them, we're putting our own banner for amity and commerce together. That's the one that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was holding. And then he was also holding the Moroccan flag that we have here. Okay, when he was holding those two flags, he was saying, you have estates here. This is the estate, these two together. And see, when we put our 50 states on there, and when I say state, I mean state of mind. It's a territory, it's a reservation. And so we're adding stars to our banner for amity and commerce with each constitution that goes on the public record. And that's why we need all Moors to put the constitution for the territory that you're in on the public record in this manner. Don't put theirs, the one that you see. You actually have to take it and put it on Moorish government letterhead and then put it in blue in capital minutia minima. Take out anything that says state of this, state of that, and just leave the word there. Washington or Georgia or whatever, Florida or whatever.
Can you say estate? Could you call it that?
You can say estate. You can say estate.
Okay.
You can, because that's really what it is. Okay? Now, when we do that, what we're doing is connecting, we're putting the banner that says, yes, we can do commerce in our territory. That's really what the banner of amity and commerce was supposed to be about, but it was hypothecated. So we have to create our own because it has to start and stop with the Moors. It has to start and stop with us. And that way, delirium is going to go back and forth. And then after you do the Constitution in blue, and we'll say this here on the record, and I'm going to do those 6 documents, I haven't forgotten. Place the state constitutions and the county charters that you do in the same manner, again, on the public record, and forward a copy to the government@gmail.com, because we need all 50 territories, because those were our territories first before the corporate, quote unquote, incorporated. Okay? And so that way, when we put the banner, our banner for amity and commerce on the public record, it's ours and we did it. Because, see, right now, we could put it on the public record and it won't have all 50 stars because we haven't received all 50 constitutions from the Moors in those different territories and reservations. So that's why we need the help of every Moor out there, every Moor, no matter what territory you're in, even if you're overseas. UK Moors, same thing. same thing. You have, you can put the Constitution for the United States on the public record. And then the UK has another constitution. It's like a constitutional, it's the same thing that Canada had, Canada Corporation rather had. They have something called a constitutional certificate or something like that, something that they made up and called it a constitution. So those documents, no matter what part of the earth you are domiciled at, you need to put those documents on the public record and then send them to us so we can add another star to our banner of amity and commerce. And I'll tell you where that's going in just a moment. And after you do that, then whatever county territory you're in, do the same thing with the county charter, okay? So that you are free to do commerce in the county territory that you're in, that you govern, okay? And it's at that time that we begin to treat with the other nations that are in those territories. Treat and do commerce, and the commerce is honored. This is a piece that was missing from the Delarian piece, and it wasn't missing. We just needed time to know, okay, what do we do now that we've gotten the Delarium out there? Moors are using it. They're demonstrating it. What do we do next? Well, this is what we do next. We have to put our banner for amity and commerce up. We have to put it on our documents, okay? And we have to put it on, because we were the original 13 colonies also, by the way, but there was no one here when we got here because we created the land too. Okay, so they hypothecated everything, but again, the prophet says we're going to leave the European here long enough to teach how to govern. All they're doing is showing us things that we need to do, that we need to make sure that it's not connected to what they're doing, but that it's connected to what we're doing, that it originates here with us. Okay, the banner for amity and commerce is ours. That's why Prophet Noble Ali was holding it. Because I will admit I've had some reservations about why is he holding that? And are we supposed to be, are they equal to us and all of that? And what does that look like? You know, those were just some questions that I had, and I knew the ancestors would give us the answers, and that the answer is what we're doing now. Putting together our land again, claiming it properly, putting it on the public record properly. Because every document that they hypothecated coincides with, or there's a sovereign match to that they hypothecated, because they haven't thought of anything new. So we have to do this, and we need all Moors, no matter what territory you're in, no matter if you think other Moors have done it already, you need to do it too, so that your commerce is honored. Because what we're doing, because some people may say, well, if one Moor has done it, I don't need to do it. Yes, you do. Because what you may not see by saying something like that, I know you don't see it, is that you have a vast estate, and you are a state in and of yourself. Your commerce has the ability to, just yours alone as the sovereign state, has the ability to dwarf the GDP, the gross domestic product and the gross national product of anything that's out there now, just you alone. That's your vast estate. So what we're doing is preparing, even while we're doing it for everyone and with everyone, not for everyone, but with everyone, we're also solidifying each of our own vast estates together. Okay, so Moors that are hearing this, please don't wait to do these 6 actions here. oh, this is what I wanted to again. And for the Moors who attend the calls regularly, yes, we repeat this stuff sometimes, but it has to be repeated for those who don't attend the calls regularly. We do have quite a few new people who are attending. Okay. And again, the termination of all corporate contracts, all you're doing is removing the ability of any corporation to try and govern you. Okay, that's the third one. And here, let me put this in red because it should be in red. These documents, we do them by court action. And this court action language should be at the top of all of your documents. This language right here should be at the top of all of your documents. And then the fourth one. Because, see, we're putting everything in red for starters because everything is going to turn blue once the red has been placed on a public record. Everything turns blue. Everything turns blue because that's where commerce comes in at. And we know that all law is commerce. We know that. So a termination of all corporate contracts, a lien on the nom de jure. Here, let's put that here. Nom de jure war name. And so, for example, the nom de jure war name that I lien is this. And any and all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof. It's in black and it's also in these brackets because these brackets are a casket. That's where the dead live. Okay? And then my appellation change, when I changed my name, okay, appellation, and I said name for those who are new. When I did my appellation change, I changed it from this as issued by the United States Corporation Company to this. That is a change of your name or your appellation. Because when your mother spoke your appellation, she was sovereign, her Stargate was sovereign, that's why we're sovereign. Just because she did not know does not mean that she was not.
Lost your audio.
Okay. And so a lien on the nom de jure war name and the social. The social security number. You have to lien that so that these ones here, this United States Corporation Company here, does not continue to try and hold you under that. But then you have to put the real creditor instruments on the public record. And that's what the red and all lowercase letters and all of that is about. And then we can, and the fiduciary document. And then, a lien on the nom de jure, Proclamation of Trust, okay, and then the fiduciary document. Okay, all Moors, this is the magic six. This is the magic six, okay? This is what we need in order to begin to even think about freeing ourselves, okay? And again, this is not something that I have not done. Why? Because I didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice. Had to do it.
Empress Light, this is Karima Bay in Virginia Beach territory. May I ask a question?
Sure. Islam.
All right. So Islam. So one of my grandchildren has not received the Social Security card in the mail yet. I did a lien on the nom de guerre, but I don't have a Social Security number to attach to that. Does it still work the same?
It does. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just do the nom de guerre.
Okay. Islam. Okay. Thank you.
And then when it comes, lien it, and then so what you put in its place, and this is why those documents should still be kept. The documents should be kept so that you can, because we're going to use them to judge the corpus, the corporation, which is really what we're doing already, because these are all court actions. But you have to have something to replace it with, and so that's why, again, my appellation change, this thing that was issued by the United States Corporation Company is fraud. This is the real me. Then my sovereign security number. Okay, so again, let me put here. Okay. This is the social that they hypothecated and used. This is fraud. This one right here is fraud. So we did a court action on the public record, and then we issued it properly in red and all those, in red with a real living heir creditor associated and attached to that. And at any time, we can put this in blue, we can put this in whatever color we want to put it in, because the fiduciary document and the state has claimed it. So the Empire State of Morocco here has claimed this. And that's why we can use it freely as we so desire. And we can do that for those who are in there. But again, Moors, remember, this number right here, this is a math problem. That's why everybody ends up a debtor when they use this. It's a math problem. So you got to take their math, this is debtor math, and you can do it like this, or you can remove the spaces, or you can put plus sign, creditor sign. Okay, however you want to issue your credit, okay, on your document. This is a sovereign security number. This is the sovereign born appellation. These two together are matched up in our ancient system because they knew we were all coming here. This matches up with the ancient system. Whereas this nom de guerre war stuff, this fraud that the United States Corporation Company issued, that's war stuff. We don't use that. We're not at war. We're at peace. Okay? This is the magic 6. Please get these on the public record, Moors, as soon as you possibly can, because we must. We've got to stop, because things are speeding up. Why? Because they know that the estate has been accessed.
Islam.
And yes, Islam.
I always have questions.
Yes.
The first question I had is, if the nom de guerre war name really never existed and was never us, why do we need to change that? Shouldn't we just put our own name on there in the lowercase? We're not changing anything, right? It never was. It wasn't us in the first place.
Well, let me just, it's kind of, sort of, but not really. My question to you, in answer of that question, this is my answer to that question. I'm going to answer it with a question. Who issued it? That will tell you what should be done with it. If it was not issued by you, which you're the real living government, then it's fraud.
Mm-hmm. So
if it's not issued by you, it's fraud. And you have to lean that and stop the fraud. You've got to stop the fraud by leaning it, because they issued that. When we were born, you know, there should have been moors at the end of the delivery table with affidavits saying, yes, we have a new heir, but there wasn't. There was a harbor master waiting to put you out at sea and say, you're lost at sea. Here, social, birth certificate.
But
you're lost at sea.
But it is fraud.
It's fraud.
So, okay.
It's fraud when it's issued by them.
Right, exactly. Okay, the other question is, the fiduciary document, we've got all these titles. How many of those do we put on there to validify that whatever we are? I mean, we're the Secretary of State. We're all of that. So when you do that fiduciary document, what does it cover? Does it cover all those titles? Do you have to indicate on the document the titles that you're covering with that?
You don't have to. You can if you want to. You don't have to. It's not necessary, but you can do it if you want to. I didn't do it because I issued separate affidavits for each one of the titles. And those are pre-titles.
Separate
which are still, yeah.
Separate fiduciary? Separate fiduciary document? Okay.
You could call it that, but not really. I issued a separate document for each title. So the Secretary for Sovereign State, I issued an affidavit for that, a 1 to 2 page affidavit for that. Postmaster General, Sovereign Postmaster General, I issued a separate one for that. Unum Sanctum, I issued a separate one for that. And that's why there's 40 documents. Because for each title, for each pre-title that we hold, that we are, we're not really even holding them, we are that. I issued a separate affidavit, 1 to 2 page affidavit, stating we know we're that too. We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that. We're all of that.
Okay, but not all of them on that particular document. The fiduciary document.
I didn't do it that way.
Okay.
No, because the fiduciary document is actually...
It gets kind of long, right?
The fiduciary document is actually to control and to state that you have sovereign authority over, and I'll put it on the screen, whatever version or derivative of your sovereign-born appellation that you choose. You have sovereign authority over it. So if I want to put this in blue, if I want to put it in black, I can put it in black because it's mine. I created it. And use it for whatever I want to use it. If I want to put it in all capital letters, I can do that too. See, we needed to take control of our own capitalism. That's what being taken captive is all about. See, there's no accident in the language. Being taken captive means that they took control of your capitalism, which is the capital letters that are used as methods of conveyance. They're not you, they're methods to convey either credit or debt. And if it's issued by a debtor state, which is the United States Corporation Company was a debtor state, then in its debt format, then it's a debtor. And all they're going to do is push debt with it, push debt, push debt. But if it's issued by the sovereign state, which is us, okay, and we've come together and unified as the state, then it's a living creditor conveyance method, and you can use it to get the credit, that whatever benefits and credits are out there that you want.
So we actually captured the straw man, right?
You could say that, but not really, because it's not called a straw man. It's a living instrument.
Well, I mean the nom de
guerre. You could say that. You could say that. That's an elementary way to put it, and I'm not calling you elementary, but what I'm saying is some people call it that, But that's not really what it is, because what we did was a court action and a lien to do away with their creation. And then we created our own, which is the living creation.
It's a living
They created a creature. That's what it's called, a creature of the state. Creature of the state. That's court language. That's dead language. A creation for the state is a creditor instrument.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I yield.
So, thank you for the questions, though. Hopefully we answered them properly.
Islam.
Or to your satisfaction.
Islam.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then if we can expand some more, let us know, because it's important that the questions be asked so that we all understand what we're really doing. You could call it capturing a straw, but it's not even the same instrument that they issue. So that's not really, we didn't capture it. We, in fact, killed it, because we're doing it by court action. And then what we did with that creature that they created is we did a court action on the public record. It's on YouTube, where we sent that thing to Guantanamo Bay and decapitated it. Decapitation means removal from office.
Todd said choked it, right?
Not right now.
He said choked it. In other words, do something with the neck so the head will stop moving and stop talking and stop trying to represent you.
Choke it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right.
And that's why you can't really say that it's capturing a straw.
Then.
You know, we don't have a straw that we use. We use living instruments to convey credit back and forth. It's all in the language. Our freedom is in the language that we use. Okay? Our freedom is in the language. So we have to ensure that we're speaking the language properly and know exactly what we're doing and are able to describe and speak about what we're doing. So thank you for those questions, Nobility. Are there any other questions about the nom de jure and how we're not at war and all of that? Because when we issue, when this is issued, and let's just say I want to use this. And then I want to use it in, I'm going to say, flat. Because it's not in this casket right here, and it was issued, because it was issued by me, it is now a living conveyance method. I can use it for whatever I want to use it for. Why? Because it's directly attached to the sovereign and not to the sovereign state, which is the Empire State of Morocco.
Let me make you a salad.
Oh, babe, I made these great.
Okay. So we do need to make sure that we know the dynamics of that. Okay. There's a couple of lines coming up on the sound meter, so I'm going to go ahead and read them. And then if you have a question, you can star 6. Okay. Are there any other questions? Yes, Islam.
Hi, this is this is Rose L. I had a question about the mailing. I'm sorry, I'm driving. I noticed that you said that the postcard said the fees are paid. So are there additional fees for mailing off the document?
No.
Okay. And then I noticed that you stamped the document, so we can just go. I can just go to my local, like where they take documents for, like you said, for when they document mortgages and stuff, and stamp there, and then get another stamp, or is that necessary?
You're talking about mailing documents off? Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, well, we don't take Habeas or mail anything off.
Okay. Now about stamping the documents at a courthouse.
Oh,
Remember, I saw a video of you doing that. You said that you had, it was witnessed at the courthouse by you stamping it.
Yes.
Okay, so are we to do that as well, if we can?
You can. You can if you want to. You can do that if you want to. I would encourage you to, if you feel comfortable demonstrating that.
Okay.
Because see, that is what landlords, the ones that were previously doing business as landlords, that's what they were doing with those documents. They were creating rent, quote unquote, rent documents at home, and going down to the courthouse and stamping the documents themselves as if a judge, okay, was putting someone out and evicting them. That's not what was going on. They're not even real judges. We are.
Right. And then my last question is, how do I nationalize someone posthumously?
The same way that you would nationalize yourself, except that you would, because see, you would connect with them in the spirit realm and get their permission to do it. Get their consent to do it. Connect with them in the spirit realm.
Okay.
And some people, and again, you're not speaking to the dead. You're speaking to the living because they're still alive.
Right.
Same way you would.
Okay.
And then on the documents, you can put the transitions living, the living transition.
The living transition.
Because the living transition. Because they transition to another dimension, but they're still alive.
Right.
And some may feel a little bit uncomfortable with that, but the churches have been doing it the whole time. When they talk about angels and people going to heaven and all of that, same thing. In our dimensions and the things that we do. And we're not bashing churches. We love Christians.
Right.
But in what we do, we can speak to our loved ones because they're not gone anywhere. They're really not. They're really not going anywhere. We just can't see them with two eyes.
Grand Rising, Empress, I'd like to ask a question. If the matriarch's finished.
Say again?
Yes, I am.
Empress, are you? Okay. Thank you, Nobility.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. What is the Proclamation of Trust? What document is that?
The Proclamation of Trust is, I'll put one on the screen. This one that I'm putting on the screen is going to be a general Proclamation of Trust, and it's the one that I use regularly when I'm sending documents for people when they've been taken or something like that. Here, let's see. Proclamation of Trust. Whereas some moors have a very detailed trust that has their conveyances in it and any subjects and all of that, and those are necessary as well. Here it is. This is a general Proclamation of Trust. Let me just take a look and see if it's going to appear here. Okay. This is a universal master proclamation of trust. So this was done in the favor of all Moors. And all it is the statement that says it's a court action, first and foremost. And then it says that and it says it right here, our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, ancient empire state of Morocco, and the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish American Consulate, and the Moorish American Consulate Court, which is all a part of who we are. And then we exercise all of our sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc, which means now for then. And then we cast our spells. We are one God, sumus de sanctimonium, sumus de sanctimonium, sumus de sanctimonium. This sovereign justice stands and is the law. And then we got that witnessed by the lower court, the constitutional lower court, on 2/22 for them. And so that's all it is. It's a general proclamation of trust, and it's a universal master trust that is connected to the master trust account that we have. And when we say account, and also the international trust number, which is the 1010-5905 document.
Okay, so I've got two questions. Is this related to when you do your own trust, or is
this is an overarching one? That's an overarching one, and then this is a public trust, and then you do your own private trust.
Okay. And the other question. Okay, and the other question I've got is, you showed where the lower court signed the documents. How did you get the lower court to sign the documents?
They did. All I did was go in there, and I know it was the ancestors just clearing the way. I went into the county courthouses. Again, the only reason I'm calling them courthouses is because we had leaned on all of them and everything first. They had all been leaned, and the one that was doing business as head magistrate leaned, put in subject status, and then we went in and we just we saw where we could stamp the documents ourselves and not have to even deal with them, because they're not supposed to be coming up to you warring by asking a bunch of questions. And they leave the documents out. They leave the stamps out on a counter there. Okay, and when they leave the stamps out on the counter, these are county courts, because the county knows that we're the judges and justices. That's why they do that, because it's our word that is actually the law, and they're only there to just witness. So they leave the stamps out there, and I just went up and stamped. Okay. Stamped.
In the UK, that wouldn't happen. They don't do that. So,
may I ask you, have you checked with whoever it is that's claiming to be the land court?
No.
The way that you will know, okay, you got to check before you say that, because they all do it. But we didn't know that because we just didn't know. Okay, there's a lot we did not know. But I'll tell you this, nobility, before you continue on with what you're saying. The court that is connected to the land that landlords would use, the ones that were doing business as landlords, whatever court they would use has the stamps that you can use, because they never went before a real judge, because we weren't there, but they never went even before a fake judge to do that. All they did was stamp the documents, and then if you didn't abandon your estate, then they would say, hey, we have these documents here, you know. But they worked off of us abandoning. They didn't do, and then the only way they were able to get sheriffs involved is because they had those stamps.
Okay, so I'm kind of getting it. I don't get it 100%. But do you have to lean them and then give them a document to say that you're coming to the court on such and such a date? Do you have to send them notice to say when you're coming to the court to get it stamped?
I didn't do that. I leaned them, of course. Of course we leaned them. But I just appeared one day out of the blue. seemingly. And I did that quite a few times. I got on in there and I did it during quote unquote COVID, supposedly. So, you know, I slipped in there and got them because I know they leave them out for people to come and stamp documents. And the crazy part is they will send people documents in the mail. They'll send them to the citizens, and it'll say something about some money due, quote unquote money due, and all of that. And they'll tell the people, you have to stamp that document and turn it in to us. And the people will stamp their own debt and turn it in to them. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why? But anyway, go ahead, Nobility. Yeah, they have them there. And the UK specifically, because the UK knows everything that they do over there is they do it from more of an antiquated way than even we do it here. We're actually trying to get back, or we've already gotten back, to the older way of doing things. But there, they held that knowledge.
I mean, over here, they've got like a glass. When you go in the office, it's like glass. There's nothing there. You know, you speak through like a glass hole. They don't put the stamps out that when I've been there. I've never seen that before.
Okay, so
I
would pick up the phone and call and say, do you have some stamps that landlords can stamp rental documents with? I would call and just do a little reconnaissance and ask.
Okay, so the landlord, is that the people that work in the administrative office?
No, for us, those that were previously doing business as landlords are people who are claiming to own property that they don't own here. So if you go and you rent an apartment from someone, they're pretending to be a landlord.
Okay.
And the lease that you sign, you know, the documents that you sign that says, okay, you have to pay $1,000 a month to move into this place. They will go and get those documents stamped somewhere down there, and it's always a land court.
A land court?
So
is that different from county court or magistrates court? We got magistrates court in England. That's not different from it. It's the same court.
That. No.
Okay.
It's not different. It's the same.
And the last question I want to ask is, how do you find out who the head judge is? Because I normally know that the head judge is the head clerk, is the court of the clerk.
So then that's the one you lean. That's the one you lean.
But it's very hard to find out what their name is. Very hard. How do you find it? Is there a way, a technique?
Well, they publish them online here. They publish them online, and then if it's not published online, we just pick up the phone and say, who's the head clerk there? And they'll tell you. Because
over here, they won't tell you.
Information.
Over here, they won't tell you.
So then you're going to have to do a little bit more. Okay, so then if you don't know if they won't tell you who the head clerk is, somebody somewhere over there is going to know who's running that building or claiming to run that building. Somebody. And for you all, I would look into Chancery Court, because you all have Chancery Court there, don't you?
Yeah, we've got Chancery Court, and we've got the Lord Chancellor that runs all courts. He's the head of all courts.
That's the one you lean. Because he's not a chancellor, he's a custodian.
Okay. So once you lean him, then you go to the court and get your paperwork done.
You can. I would call first to see if the stamps are out. I would just say, are the stamps out for the landlord?
Okay.
Or something to that nature. We move kind of self sometimes to get things done, but we're going to get it done. You know, so you may have to move a little self.
Well, if they said something like, we don't know who the landlord is, for example, how would you then go at them? What would your way of going at them if they said they, you know, the landlord? If you said, you know,
so
at the staff.
So whoever you signed the documents with, it's generally a company, a corporation of some kind, whoever the CEO of that corporation is. So you should be able to look up who's the CEO or pick up the phone and call. And if they don't tell you who the CEO is, they'll say, well, can I have your name? Because we can ask questions. Can I have your name? And even if it's the secretary and her name is Betsy Jones, you lean her. Lean the corporate covering off of her, because we're not mad at people, okay? But we are not going to let debt keep flying around. So you lean the all caps Betsy, and it'll actually be Betsy in capitis diminutio minima, which means the first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lower, doing business as landlord. And landlord is in all capital letters. Okay.
Yeah, well, the first thing over here, they won't give you their full name, and they'll tell you that. I'm not giving you my full name. You can find it. Yeah, you can still find it. The way that I did it, because they did that at one time. One of the banks that we ended up making sure we got what we needed. They wouldn't give me the last name of the manager. They gave me the first name, but not the last name. So what I did was I went online and I just started digging and looking through. I ended up going through the Chamber of Commerce, which is a completely different corporation from the bank. But they had her whole name, and she had that she was the manager at so-and-so bank. So we can find them. We can find them. Okay. They can't hide. And this is the crazy part about all of that, nobility, is that before we started doing this work, they were out there just bold. They were all on television bragging about how much money they made and their domiciles and how big their houses were and you know how much they made and all of that. And now that we are doing what we're doing, you can't find them. It's like a needle in a haystack almost, trying to look them up and find out who they are. Exactly. That means that we're doing the right things when those that are acting in corporate status, okay, are running. Because, see, we used to be running, didn't we? So now tell me something. If you can't find the name of the people, can you just lean the court itself by the court name?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So when you lean the court itself, does that mean that you lean everybody inside the court that works there, for example? Or is that just the person that's in charge?
When you lean, so it's always best to have a name, okay? Yeah. Our teachers, like Grand Sheik has always told us, always have a name. If you look for a name, you'll find a name. I don't care if it's a janitor. I don't care who it is. Somebody doing business as janitor. Even if you have to go and just, you know, do a little reconnaissance and, you know, hey, what's your name? Okay, you know, that kind of thing, and find out who they are. But you need to get you need to get a name. You do need to get a name. Okay.
And the other thing before I go, Empress, is this document that you put out here for the overall trust. Is it possible to get a copy from you for that document?
For the Proclamation of Trust?
Yeah.
It's always linked under these videos. It's under the last video. There's a link to the folder that has the 40-something documents in it. That document is one of them.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I yield.
You're welcome. Sure.
Greetings, Empress.
Islam.
Sister Cherry Bay here.
Greetings, Empress. How are you?
You know what, Empress? I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Good. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Empress, I was not doing a demonstration. but a matter made its way to me. So of course, you know, I had to react. And it's funny because you were just speaking of the landlord. So my so-called landlord put a 5-day notice to vacate. So on my door. So of course I had to react. So I, you know, I just want to share with you. I am going to ask a question, but I just wanted to share with you that this is not a demonstration. So this is something that was just landed at my door, and I had to react. So and this was recent, by the way. So my landlord did put this notice, a 5-day notice, you know, on my door. Please don't call them your landlord. You just start off. Please don't call them that. Don't call them that. Sorry. The subject doing business is landlord. Yes. Or the custodian. Yeah. Yes. So this corporation doing business as a landlord put, you know, this notice on my door. So, so I said, okay, let me just respond. So what I did was I leaned, because in the notice, it said that they were going to take me to, you know, peace court. You know, you or a court? I'm sorry. They were going to take, they were going to take the corpse to peace court. So what I did was the next day, I went online, like this gentleman was saying. I went online. I researched who the judge, who that peace court judge was. So I leaned everyone. I leaned like I have 20 debtors. I was just leaning everybody. So, and also, Empress, it's really interesting because within the 5-day notice, they said that because I did give them DeLorean, but they said that we don't, you know, we don't recognize this, and you know, we don't, you know, Morocco is just like they acting like they don't know who Moors are. Right. Go ahead, Empress. So my question is, like I said, Empress, this was, you know, presented to me, and it appears as though what I have done is they're quiet. Everyone's waiting. I got no, you know, at first I got a letter saying they're going to threaten to do something. Now it's crickets. Everything is crickets. They were not talking to you. Okay, hold up, Empress. Hold on, please. Because you've got to get your language right. If you don't get your language right, your demonstration is going to reflect your language. Okay? Don't call them judges, and you are not a non-de jure because you're not at war. So on this call for this session, I would like for you to just take a deep breath and tell the story using the correct, properly identifying yourself as separate and apart from a dead corporation that they're attempting to do something with. That separation must take place first in our hearts and in our minds so that it can take place on paper, so that it can take place where they're concerned. Okay? You must make the distinction. We can't keep running those red lights and stop signs. We can't keep doing that as a people. And I'm not just talking about you. I stop Moors all day, every day when I'm on the phone with them. And I always, we have to get used to knowing that we are not that thing that they keep trying to do things to. And necrophilia and necromancy. Because that's what that is. If they're dealing with the dead, we must, our jurisdiction is in our language. So I yield the floor here, Empress. But please think it through as you're saying it so that you separate yourself from that court. This is a demonstration, an exercise at this point. Islam. Go ahead, Empress. You know what? I'll just yield the floor.
No.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to yield the floor, Empress. I want you to state it and properly state who you are, so that even if let's just say they were to hear this.
You're right.
To hear this call. Okay, they need to know that you know that they're not even talking about you or to you. They're talking to their corpse that they created, and that you're going to demonstrate that they are talking to their corpse and not you. So I'm going to yield, Empress, so that, yes, Islam. Please continue, Empress, because this is important. It's important that Moors know that those corpses, we have to know that that's not us that they're talking about. We have to know that. Go ahead, Empress.
Okay, I just don't want to mess anyone else's. Yeah.
Don't worry about messing it up, and just go ahead. Go ahead. You'll do it the way that This is an exercise in you deprogramming yourself and then pre-programming yourself the right way, so that what you put on the paper matches when you start speaking.
Okay. Well, I guess. Okay. I just want to ask a question at this point. I would like to know, I am at the stage where I just want to clarify, when we are giving these corporations a opportunity to rebut a loyal title that was that is now on the public record. Is there a certain amount of time that we should be allowing these people to, allowing this corporation to respond to a claim of my Moorish estate?
No. The answer to the question is this: corporations should be leaned and decapitated. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Corporations that are not created by us are terrorists. So you lean them and you decapitate them or remove them from office by court action with those 6 documents that we talked about. And then what you do is then you're dealing with subjects, and then you're giving the subjects, you raise the subjects up, all rise and stand, etc., by court action, and then you can put it on public record, and then you can wait too. You just wait. There's not a certain amount of time. They don't need to speak back. They're really not supposed to be responding back. They're really not. Because when they're giving commands, especially subjects, when subjects are given commands, they should do as commanded. And if our commands are competent, they will. Okay? But corporations that are not created by the heirs, we don't allow them anything. We don't give them anything. We lean them right off the bat. From jump, we lean them. From the very beginning, lean them. If we didn't create that corporation, lean it, because they're trying to do things that should not be done.
Okay, so I've done everything that you said. I've done to present. So. And
you said that they're quiet. They haven't said anything.
Well, no. What I meant by that is there was a threat to, right, so there's no more threats, no more anything. So, which is good. I'm not looking for anything. So I guess my question is, at this point, I had, just to make everything, okay, I have ran an ad in the legal section of my paper, as well as, you know, as well as a written format, just to, as something extra. I ran an ad in the legal notice. So, so I'm just saying, you know, I'm at the point where I've publicly and in private, both sides, made it known that I'm claiming my moorishe estate. So I just wanted to have an idea as to when should I issue a writ of possession.
What would the writ say? Oh, writ of possession? Immediately.
Oh, okay.
I would issue it immediately. Yes, absolutely. And the only thing that I heard that might cause me a little discomfort is that when you placed an ad in the paper, most likely either you you've terminated all corporate contracts, so there was no fiat involved. There were sovereign credits involved. Is that correct? Or was there?
You mean in the legal notice?
Yeah. When you placed the legal notice, what did you use as a medium of exchange?
Yeah. No, I did not.
And
I
that's
understand.
the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing that gives me a little discomfort. However, if you've terminated all corporate contracts, which I'm sure you have, because we've talked at length, you know, in the past about some of the demonstrations that you're doing, which are very powerful, by the way, then I wouldn't give that too much thought either. You know, however, there are mediums that of publication that we can use where we don't have to do that. Social media is one. You know, things like Facebook, YouTube, and I know some people are not on those mediums, but they are actually good medium public places where you can publish what you're doing and not use fiat, you know, or not use sovereign credits either, you know, for that matter.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Also, the indemnus document. Now, because the document that I've read and been studying, it said that the value of the property is 100% identified. So once I place that on my public record for the value of the property, does that dissolve any claims at all? Does that document dissolve the cost of the property?
The cost of the property is dissolved with a lien and a termination of corporate contract.
Oh.
The cost is dissolved with that. A lien and a termination of corporate contracts, and then allodial title, those things dissolve all of that.
Okay.
And then you put something in its place, such as the indemnus facier. You can even do a diallarium exchange on the public record where you make copies of diallarium and say this is what was paid to our state for this property. And then you take it and you put it in your state treasury because you're governing your own vast estate there.
When you say I'm putting it in my state treasury, what do you mean by that?
So, for example, if the domicile is if they're saying that the market value is $300,000 or something like that. Let's just use that as a figure. I'm just guessing, or picking a figure. So if it says that it's $300,000, then what you'll do is record a $300,000 transaction or exchange with Dollarium on the public record, and then you'll put that $300,000 into your estate treasury. So you're paying your estate for the property. And then you notify those doing business as Secretary of State and all of that. You're not notifying them because you've actually liened them. You're notifying the office of the Secretary for Sovereign State, or Secretary of State, office of the Secretary of State. You notify them that this property has already been properly acquisitioned and placed in trust, in your sovereign trust.
Okay.
And it's been acquisition, it's acquired by the state. And so you paid the state or your estate, and then a allodial title is given. And that's something that you create because you're the state and you're also the buyer. And not the buyer, but the exchanger doing the exchange.
Okay.
And you can do, you know what I'm saying? So, again, these are measures that can be taken as we're continuing to stand so that we know that we're that we are properly recording our actions. Okay, and all of our actions when properly recorded, are done by court action. So even the exchange, when you exchange the Dollarium, you just make copies of 300,000 in Dollarium, and then you put that with your documents and your allodial title, and saying this is the amount that was transferred to my estate treasury for the value of this domicile. And then you send a copy to the one that to the office of Secretary of State. And as we continue to stand, a lot of these processes are going to take on different. They're going to look a little bit different from what we're doing right now. But right now, we have to govern right where we're at. We have to govern right where we're at until we get more into offices that are doing nothing all day but, you know, taking in a allodial title and recording it, taking in a allodial title and recording it. We need to, you know, those things need to be done, you know. But there's some, for example, we're in the process of perfecting our banking, you know, process. Those things need to be done. We still have some things that have not been perfected yet, where banking and things like that is concerned. But in the interim, we can still protect what we have by doing these things, by showing that we know that a commercial exchange must take place on the public record.
And one more thing, Empress, as I am preparing to step into this role to, you know, taking over my estate, which is this building, as far as, you know, I was just thinking, as you say, you know, we're not supposed to, we don't want to enter into any contract. So if there is a, let's say, for example, this building has, you know, 500 units in it. So if there is a management company, let's say I want to hire a management company, is that the same? If I'm in a contract with them, is that different than a corporate contract, or is that the same thing?
It's different in its nature. In its nature, okay? So the corporation that you initially gave your signature to, and at the time it was a signature because you're operating in corporate commerce. When you're operating in corporate commerce, if you did not know that you're not the corporation who signed that, then you need to lien that corporation and lien the nom de guerre, okay? So that then you create the proper corpus sanctum that can do that type of an exchange. The living corpus sanctum who are constitutional at law, okay? So an example of that will be, for example, on the screen, if you did a contract with, let's just say, ABC Management Company, and at the time you just signed it not knowing that you're not this nom de guerre right here, okay? Then the nom de guerre needs to be liened, and whoever the contract was done with needs to be liened. Because at the time there was not full disclosure that you're actually the heir to the land. So then when you do that, you can then, you as fiduciary to this living conveyance instrument, okay, if you can see here on the screen, Pauline Denise Ritchie in black ink, but not in these brackets, okay? It's created by Pauline Denise Ritchie in capitis nationall in red ink in propria persona juris, etc. It's created by me and by my estate. Then you can use this conveyance method to contract with whatever management company. If it was ABC when you liened them, that's the dead ABC, and now there is a living subject ABC that will do as commanded where the land is concerned. Okay, so ABC company, and this is how ABC company would be noted. Or if you capitalize it, then it's going to be, but see, again, you have to do that on your fiduciary document. You would put ABC Corporation, or generally it's LLC, ABC LLC, on your fiduciary document. That means that ABC LLC is under your sovereign authority. We actually have to put all of the corporations and companies under our sovereign authority. And the way we do that is lien and decapitate that thing created by the United States Corporation Company, and then create our own and put it on the fiduciary document. Okay, and you don't have to change the way the words sound. Pauline Denise Ritchie sounds the same, but it's the spell being cast is different. Okay, just like with ABC LLC, it sounds the same, and even the face that you see is the same. But that face goes from being a corporation or a corp to being a subject of the moors. Okay? Islam? Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I'll give one other quick,
Islam.
Yes, Islam. And that's why we can't be mad at people, because one minute they're a corpse acting like they're a manager of some land that belongs to you, and then once you lien them and put them in subject status, then they become the subject who is honoring the Constitution. So we don't look at faces and people and be mad. We just do the documentation that changes their nature.
And then one last question, Empress. So when we, as far as doing business and banking, so because I was brainstorming, so at this point, because if you're doing business, this is not a creditor's account. So or is it? I was just wondering, as far as having a banking account, would I have to just set up a trust and just operate under the trust to keep these other subjects from freezing the account or anything like that? Like as far as banking, like a business banking, would I have to do that under trust?
You can, or you can do it. It doesn't matter what you do it under. It doesn't matter what you do it under. You can do it under a name, or you can do it under a trust. Either one, because they're both trusts anyway. Okay, those are instruments. They're trusts. Now, the subjects, the difference between a corporation and a subject is the subjects are going to do their job. Okay, they're going to do their job. Because we have to know their job better than they do. And the way you know their job is know the Constitution better than they do. So make sure that before you're doing anything, Empress, that you look in the corpus and know the difference between the corporations and a subject. And then also know that you can create a corpus sanctum with the fiduciary document that you tell that corpus sanctum what to do. And you direct what happens with bank accounts and things like that. I could show you one of the bank accounts that I'm doing, that I do my, that I demonstrate on regularly, because I see them moving things around and doing things as we notify them. What they did was, I still can sign on to the account because the account still exists, okay? But the status of the account and the nature of the account has changed. So they make it so that I can sign on to the account. There was nothing in it anyways, but I wanted to see what they were going to do, whether they were going to close it, whether they were going to open it, what was going to happen. Were they going to follow the commands? Or how were they going to record anything? Okay, I wanted to see that. So this is a secondary account. And as I was doing the things that I was doing, Empress, they didn't close it. They can't close it, even though there's nothing in it. And at one point they said that there was $3 due. And they said if this $3 stays outstanding past 30 days, we're going to, whatever they said they were going to do, they will say, use the word close or something like that. But they didn't close it. All they did was, I can still sign on, I can still see what's there. They just have a statement there that says something similar to you don't have any accounts in this part of the bank. You don't have an account in this part. Okay? Because they know that I moved it over to a ledger account, and I get to determine what that looks like. Okay? So here it is right here, and I'll just put it on the screen because we have to see, we have to know what all this stuff looks like. So let's see. Well, there it is on the screen. Okay, can you see what they said there? You currently do not have any accounts available in account access, but this is an account that I'm looking at. They're not in account access, their account access, okay? But this is an open account right here. Because see where it says sign out? That means I'm signed in to an account. So what they did was they moved the account to the ledger portion. So we have to know what all of that looks like, Empress, when we're doing banking, because some people will look at this and think, what happened to the account or whatever. But you actually have to have a password and a, and an access number to get to this point right here. It says right there on the screen, account summary. So it's clearly it's an account, okay? They're just waiting on me to give them, you know, something else, something further. And the banking system is changing even as we speak to it properly, okay? So when you're doing banking demonstrations, Empress, you have to know what it is you expect to have done by the commands that you give. Okay, you have to know what a successful command looks like, because I know I didn't know. I don't know if you knew. Some may have known, okay, but I didn't know what a successful command looked like. It didn't look like what they trained us that it would look like. It didn't look like that. It looked like something different. So I had to learn to recognize when they did what I told them to do. They can't close the account. They know that, so they just moved it. And now it's a ledger account. Ledger account is an account that has in it what we say it has in it, because we keep the ledger, and then we notify them of what the ledger says. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Islam.
So
I got a question.
Islam nobility.
Thank you.
Islam. I'm going to sign out here on the screen as well, just so that you all can see. Just 1 second, nobility. Let me sign out here on the screen. Okay. See, yeah, it's signed out.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can't close them, just so that you all are aware. They don't close. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, nobility.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. One of them was when notifying corporations, and say you need to,
I can't hear you. There's some noise or something in the background. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. Can you hear me now?
Okay, hold on just a second. Hold on, let me just mute some of where that noise is coming from.
Okay, how about that?
Okay, go ahead, nobility. Go ahead, nobility. I think I got it.
Yeah. When they say notify, and say you're dealing with one particular corporation, and every time you notify them, do you have to send out, if you sent out 40 copies or 40 documents, do you have to send out the 40 documents each 2 to 3 notification times?
Each to the what?
Like, say if you say notify. So if you are notifying a corporation and the first time you sent out 40 documents, I'm just saying, for an example, if you send out 20 or 10 documents, do you have to print out those 10 same documents for the second and third notification?
No.
So what do you do for the second and third notification?
Send them whatever it is that I'm notifying them of, whether it be a lien or a allodial title or whatever it is. I just send that because as long as I have proof that I sent the original notification.
Oh, so this sounds like the lien that you already are notifying them about. Okay. Now,
you can just send the lien.
I'm sorry?
You can just send the lien the second and third time.
Okay, great. All right, that was one question. The other question was today, a couple of weeks ago, I sent out my license and my conveyance tags back to PennDOT. And today, I got it back in the mail. Now, prior to that, I've been using, what do you call it? The no postage necessary stamps. And I've been sending out, you know, liens and documentations all the time. So when I send out the tags, I got the tags back today saying illegal postage. So now they want me to spend fiat to buy the regular postage. So what would I do in a case like that? Because I've been sending.
I would be willing to, and I'm just from my past experience, I will say that generally when that happens, it's because the place that you're sending it to is in your territory.
Well,
is the place that you sent it to in your territory?
I guess to Pennsylvania, you know, the state of Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'm sending it from the Philadelphia territory to Harrisburg territory of Pennsylvania.
How far away is that?
Oh, wow, that's about 3 or 4 hours. Well, I would say 2 to 3 hours.
Okay. Generally, when they send it back, and you sent it the same way and everything that you send everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And I even sent stuff to PennDOT, which is Pennsylvania's Department of Transportation. Yeah. I've sent stuff to them already, and they accepted it before, you know.
Yeah. So you may did they put a notice with it?
No, they didn't. The only thing I had was just a tag and a license inside the package, and all they sent back was. Let me look at it real quick. I could probably. Well, anyway, they just sent back saying that the post is not good. They want me to. They said it's $11.90 that I owe.
Because it's probably make sure now that you didn't have a zip code on it. You didn't change anything, right?
No, I actually did something you did. I was watching some of your videos where you just put the I put Empire State of Morocco, and then I put the actual natural area code and longitude and latitude on my address location or mailing location.
And then for their mailing location, first of all, or for their address, what color was the lettering that you used?
At that time, it was black.
Yeah, I was going to say. See, have you liened them before?
You know, that's the thing. I didn't lien PennDOT yet. But when I what did I do? I think I notified them as far as my status of my non-de-gear and my correction, my appellation change. Okay.
You need to lien them. You need to lien the court so that they won't respond to you as if they are a corporation who has authority over you.
Okay.
A lot of times they will let the first thing or two go through, and then when you need to step up your demonstration, they'll say, "Okay, now step up the demonstration." Because people don't believe this, but it's the truth. Each and every demonstration that we do is divinely orchestrated. Divinely orchestrated.
Okay.
So, yeah, just make sure you lien them because, again, they know that you're supposed to lien them before you start giving them commands and sending them things and talking to them and etc.
I was just trying to give them their property back. I'm trying to give them their property
back.
They
know that it's not their property either. They know that actually still belongs to you because your estate was used to craft that stuff. So they don't really want it back. They want you to lien so that they can stop being taxed by a corporation when they're not corporations, they're subjects. They want you to lien them.
Okay.
You must do that. Or else they're going to start trying to, you know, put corporate policies on you. Because by sending it back, that's implementing a corporate policy by the post office, by their agent.
Okay.
So lien the post office and lien whoever you were sending that to. You got to lien them, or else they'll use corporate, and that's what they're doing when they send it back and say postage due. That's a corporate policy because they know good and darn well that the heirs do not pay postage because it was all prepaid.
Mm-hmm.
They know that. All of that was prepaid.
And so basically, now when I'm leaning them, I would use these 6 steps right here that you have on the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I noticed in one of your other videos, you crafted a sovereign, what was it called, a bank account, where you said craft your own sovereign bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see, what was it called? I swear, man, I can't remember nothing when I need to. Where's that? Where's that? Documents.
Islam Empress.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick question, because I had that same thing happen from the Secretary of State. They returned it for postage due. So we leaned them again because I've already leaned them. And just sent it because it's like the label that I've been using usually goes through. But I had a couple of the packages came back for postage due. And I want to send it back to them. So what do? You just send it in again?
Look at your labels.
I know about what you said, how to reword everything on the front. I'm going to do that as well, as far as rewording, because I studied that in our last call. But I do know they also said return postage due. And I was like, well, how do I get it to them? I just do the same thing over again, but I lean them again. I mean, I've already leaned.
What color was the label that you used to state their address?
Well, the label background is white, and then I told you how I did it. I put like Jesse White's name in lowercase blue, upper and lowercase blue. Then I put it in, black, like we discussed, and you said I shouldn't have done that because that's done. So I know the new revised way to do it.
Blue. It's got to be in blue and last name first and first name last.
Yeah, those are the notes that I took. Yeah, so but I do that, but I just mail it back again. Just do it again and put that on the label.
Yes, all in blue.
And we should say, I guess, office of in blue.
Yeah, uppercase, right?
So if it's office of the Internal Revenue Service, you will put that Office of the Internal Revenue Service in all capital letters in blue, and this is after you've leaned them. And then you would put under that Doe, John in capitis diminutio minima, which means first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lowercase, and then you're going to put last name first and first name last. And then you will put the address. Okay? With a zip code in blue after you've leaned them. That's how subjects are noted.
So once you lean them, you don't lean them again like I've leaned the mayor. You just...
Yeah, you don't have to. Okay.
Once is enough?
Once is enough, and make sure that from the time you lean them that you refer to them in blue in capitis diminutio minima, last name first, first name last, and that they are custodians only and not a mayor. He's a custodian in the office of the mayor. And you're the mayor.
The office of the mayor is all caps, though, right?
All caps in blue after you've leaned them. Because all you're doing is telling them they're not in that office that you are, except you're working from home. Okay?
And then they're supposed to do what you command them to do.
They will do it. When you know that they're custodians and not, then don't none of them have a title. None. They will do as commanded.
Is that sort of like, let me see if I can get it in there. Can y'all see that? Is it like that?
Just one moment. Let me put it in. Okay, so to the office of should be in all capital letters, nobility. Custodian, let's see, office of, yeah, to the office of drive time Carfield, that should be in all capital letters. Worthington, Scott Phillips, and Mary L. The name should be in last name first and first name last. That's correct. And then when you say custodian, that's correct. Ply meeting, you could put that in capitis diminutio minima, and then everything else is correct. And that should be in blue. Okay. Thank you, Justice Akil.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's very close, though. That's very, very close. That's very close. It's almost perfect.
Okay. I've been watching. So,
yeah.
I got
yeah,
it.
because we should not be paying postage. We should not. It's prepaid. It's prepaid.
These are the labels I've been using. This label.
Yes, those are the ones we use too. And then yours is in red over there on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind showing it. It don't matter to me. That's in red.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And it's been going through?
Yeah, I never had a problem until I sent the tag. I was trying to give them their property back, but, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then I just put it on, then I put the, the information on here, and then on the back, you know, so.
Now, Justice Akil, hold that one back up where you got the back side, because I want to show where it's prepaid. Hold it up, slide it over just right there where it says first class mail, postage and fees paid. That permit number, permit G10.
Right here?
Yeah, that permit number, G10.
Yeah.
That's a trust document. Okay? That's a trust document. And that's why it's been honored. It went through the Universal Postal Union. But as we move forth, at some point we're going to, once we cross this particular bridge where postage is concerned from the Moors doing things, that G10 is going to be G space 10 or G plus 10. Or it'll be just G10 put together. Because if you've heard of, I'm sure you've heard of the G20 nations.
Not familiar with it.
Or the G7 nations.
Mm-hmm.
So go out onto onto Google and Google G20 or G7. That is what that's referring to. Those are treaty nations. And actually in a corporate sense it's not, but in our sense it's treaty nations. It's a trust. That's what that prepaid is. We prepaid a long time ago, where the post office is concerned. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Justice Akil.
Islam, no problem.
Greetings, Empress. I have put a question in the chat.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so Empress, knowing that, first of all, that is not your number, that is a corporate number. It belongs to the United States Corporation Company. Also, when you still see things like that, generally somewhere either in the document or something, there's still some attachment of some kind, a contract of adhesion or something like that, that has not been fully rectified. And it can be something as simple as when you sent out the lien, you addressed it to the CEO of Social Security. Well, he's not really the CEO. It will be the office of the CEO. And so sometimes even those, because right now we're being called to fine-tune everything that we're doing. Okay? So if they're still showing there, then generally there's something that's telling them that those need to stay open until some little switch gets flipped, or something gets fixed in terms of the language.
So you're saying I should readdress it to the Social Security, like my?
I wouldn't worry about that. I would focus on ensuring that anything that you send out thus far is properly addressed, and that you don't give them titles that they don't have any, because that can be that's considered kind of like a contract. In our language, we have to speak properly, and in our document, so that as we're crafting our documents, the documents come out properly. Because if we say it and we don't correct ourselves when we say it, then that will come out on the paper, or it will come out in a demonstration that we do when we're nervous. We'll start calling them judges and all of that stuff when they're really not that, and that will cause problems for us. So there's somewhere in in other words, any demonstration that you do from this point forward, just make sure that you don't call them anything that they're not, and that will counteract what's being held up there and causing those accounts to still show. It's something simple. I can tell you it's something simple. It's not anything major. And as you practice and continue demonstrating, which you know you're demonstrating powerfully, it's time to make sure that even our very language and the words we use reflect and state what's on the document. Because it's one thing to put a bunch of documents out there, but then when you start talking, if you give them authority, then they're gonna go with what you say. And then all of those accounts will pop back up and be like, well, no, she's still, this instrument is still attached to us, because you're not attached to them, you never were. But the conveyance method, which is a Social Security number, is still attached to them because somebody keeps giving them authority, and it can only be us that gives them authority. I have to, and sometimes you'll hear me in the calls correcting my own language, because sometimes things will come out and I have to go back and fix it, because I know we're very powerful spellcasters that will cause those accounts to pop right back up there, you know. So,
because I thought that when we put a lien on the Social Security number, like you said here in the Magic 6, I thought, because I put my lien like last year, this was months ago, and then when I checked it, there's like an account that was just open like 2 months ago. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, so I just thought that when I put the lien on the social and send it out, that it will be, you know, I'm expecting it to be corrected.
It was corrected when you sent it, but if you look at the question that you put in the chat, it's clear that you need that there's some change in the language that needs to be. Because see, again, jurisdiction can be invoked at any time. So in the lien, you invoke jurisdiction properly, but then if you turn around and say my Social Security number, then you just, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Because that's not your Social Security number. That's why we have to get rid of the dead thing, you know. That's why we have to get rid of it. We got to lean it, decapitate it, you know, get that zombie out of here, and then don't claim it again because you claimed it in there, you know. And it's that, you know, we're that powerful. Our language is that powerful. It matters that much.
Okay, so wait a minute, Empress. So, okay, so are you saying 6 months ago when I lien my social, but then a couple of months ago when I went to open up a bank account using my social, are you saying did I resurrect it again?
If you use what you call a social that you didn't create as a sovereign security number, if you use the social, then you've contracted. If you thought it was a social, when really it's okay, because again, jurisdiction can be, now you can invoke jurisdiction today, and all of that is done away with. Okay. Now, remember, Empress, you can open an account with a sovereign security number because don't look at what's on the screen. Okay? The difference between this is a social, it's dead. It was dead on arrival because it was created by a dead entity. And now you have a sovereign security number. You can open an account with a sovereign security number.
No, okay, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought that when we give them our number, they're putting it in their system automatically with these dashes. That's what I thought.
It doesn't matter what they do, but they should be, we have to make sure that what we do is proper and lawful. We have to make sure that what we do is lawful and that our understanding of what we've done is lawful, or they will switch it around and misuse it and create debt with it.
Okay, so Empress, because as we're talking, you're right. When I submitted these liens, the only time that I've used that number is to open up a recent account. So now I understand what you're saying. That could have resurrected for all these other offshore accounts to use it as well, which I didn't know. Now I understand that. Now I understand that. Okay, so when I go to a institution now, what's the language? Like, how can I ensure that they're not using these dashes?
First, you must know in your spirit, in your heart, and in your knower that they are custodians and not anything other than that. That's first. Before you go anywhere, you lien the corporate covering off of them, and you notify them. See, we always let our affidavits precede us. Okay, generally, we let the affidavits precede us. So you send all of that beforehand, and then you conduct your affairs. Okay? So the way that you can guarantee it is you set the terms before you get there. You set the terms before you get there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Islam. And Empress, don't be too upset about it, but just keep it in mind and be cognizant that our language has everything to do with what we're doing. And you don't have to go and close what you opened. Just make sure that you notify them that this is what are the terms that it was opened by. It was opened by you being the fiduciary of your sovereign security number. And you can mail that off to headquarters, to their quote-unquote home office. You can mail that off to the office of the home office or the office of the headquarters and let them know. And the custodians will make sure that they rectify and fix what needs to be fixed and rectified. Because Empress, know this, that everything that we do happens in the spirit realm first and then in the natural. If it was not your intention to contract with them, that matters too. But again, you were able to see that when you went and used that number, not realizing that you should use a sovereign security number and not a social, then it resurrected this.
Yes, yes.
Things that you don't, yeah. We're that powerful. We're that powerful. We have the power of life and death in our tongue and in our pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Empress, because the more, that's something that we all need to know. We need to make sure that we know how important this really is, that if we do all of this paperwork, why would you do all of that paperwork and then turn right around and, and because I've opened my mouth and said things that I had to turn right around and say, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. And re-invoke jurisdiction because I could feel things changing in my spirit. Even with all the documents on the public record, we have to mind what we say and mind what we do. Keep everything in mind, what we do, what we say and what we do. We have to. Until it becomes reflexive, or until it becomes second nature. It will become a reflex, So I can relate, Empress. I tell you that much. I can relate. Because even when I was doing my POW demonstration, a year ago, I said something to one of them who I was giving him command. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I need this. And you know what he said? Because see, this let me know that they know already. He said, wait a minute, you need? And I said, that's not what I meant. You are hereby commanded to. And I gave him a command, and he followed the command. And that's court actions, and more court actions. And all it took was one seeming slip-up, and he was all over it because they already know who we are. They already know. And we don't need anything. We are everything, But that one little, I had to fix it really quickly, and then he went and did as commanded. We're very powerful, Morris. Very powerful. Empress, I am so grateful that you brought this up because I know that it takes boldness to bring things up, and it's also, we're exposing vulnerability or what we may perceive as vulnerabilities, but really it's helping people. That's why I don't mind putting stuff up on the screen that has to do with any demonstrations that I've done, because it's going to help somebody to know that, you know, we can fix anything that's going on with us. We can fix anything that's going on with us. So, with that being said, are there, yes, mobility.
My account looked like yours. And I was wondering, is they waiting on, I guess next step will be that SWIFT document?
They got the SWIFT document. We have to know, too, that the banking system is changing as we command it to, and it's changing all the way across the board. For everyone who demonstrates up to a certain point, it will change up to that certain point. And then as we demonstrate up to the next point, it's going to change for everybody. And in one day, everybody's going to look in their accounts, and all of the demonstrations that they did in the past, they're going to be sitting right there looking at them. 100 million here, 5,000 there, 10,000 there, 20,000, a million, 10 million, whatever. It's going to be looking right at them, right back at them. So the system is just responding to what we're doing, but they can't close it once you tell them that you're the heir, because we're the CEO. So what they do is just they move it off ledger, and we have the authority to determine what's on the ledger. Okay. So have you done your Google Sheet bank account? Have you opened your account there?
I have one, but I don't see clear of what you're saying about open.
Okay. Opening it is simply having it properly reflect what's in your bank account. So, for example, and we showed this not too long ago, but we'll show it again really quickly. Let's see. That's not what I meant to do. Let me see. We showed it really quickly with regard to bank accounts, where we open Google Sheet and let that be where we properly record, okay, properly record our banking, whatever is going on with our bank account. Okay, so for example, here, I'll put this on the screen. You just need to go and open your bank account in Google Sheets so that you can see what's in there and keep track of it. Okay, the bank account here is on the screen where you can see this master account, and you can see that copious notes have been taken about things about movement and things like that. Demonstrations and things that have been going on. And we already know about these demonstrations. We've put them on the public record, the demonstrations that are happening here with this account. And then we can share this account with others if we want to do that. But we show it on here so everybody can see it. And then down here at the bottom, there are other government account information that, we're doing the demonstrations and learning to use our banking system. Okay. It has to be here first before we can upload it into any other system. We have to we have to know how to deal with the data. And this is available offline too. So even if, let's say the internet went down for 90 days or whatever. You know, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying if that happens, we could still see what's going on with our bank accounts and email them to each other if, you know, if we needed to, or you know, publish them somehow. You know, we can send them in the mail if the internet goes down. You know, so let's see. Okay, so we want to yeah, this is where we want to go. Okay. Yeah, so anytime, you know, nobility, you go ahead and open your account, and by open it, that just means get your accounting started on your account and put everything in its proper category, okay? And even if you only have one category, that's enough. Because we are hearing, and has anyone heard that bank that people may not have access to bank accounts and things like that? Have you heard anything like that for a period of time?
Yeah, I've heard that. Empress. Some people that I know was working, when they went to the bank for money, the banks stopped their access to the money. Yeah. And each time they put them through a process of proving who they are, and sometimes it took up to 2 weeks before they get some money. And they had to do that on a monthly basis. So
they need to declare their nationality, that's for sure. Whoever they are, they need to declare their nationality. Because if you continue to prove that you're a debtor and that you don't know that you're the fiduciary to the instruments that those banks are using, and if the banks don't know that you've liened and all of that, they're gonna behave like corpses and corporations. You know, and I know people here who've gone through the same thing. This is the time for the heirs to stand up, because we have to be in control of our own banking. And once you put them on notice, and this is why we are doing what we're doing right now, is to stop that behavior that you just described.
Right.
We're being prepared. Right. That's why Morris can't sit on the sidelines and not, just because a policy enforcer is not knocking at your door does not mean that you have time to just chill. We got to get this stuff done.
One more question, Empress. You spoke to that matriarch earlier, and you was talking about putting a lien and a termination of contract and a allodial title. So when you put the lien, because over here, and you said I got a note here to send it to the Treasury? But I was thinking, would you not send the allodial title and when you do the lien, who would you lien? Over here is the land registry that registers the property as who's on it. So who would you lien in the land registry? Would you lien the registrar?
Yes. Absolutely.
And anybody? And what about anybody else in there? Is it just the registrar?
You can get the registrar, and once you get the registrar, you're going to say all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof.
Right.
And that's going to get everybody else.
Right. So that means that you do that lien, you do the termination of contract, and then you do the allodial title according to the registration number of the title. And then how would you then get the changes done? because now you want to change whose ever names on that title to your name on that title.
You notify them, but you're going to place it on the public record for you.
Right. So would you use that command, what you said, I hereby command you, in a document? Would you put that in a document and send it to them to say, I hereby command you to update your records and put make the no?
It's not their record. What we would say is all government records have been updated, and all you're doing is showing them that the records have been updated. Okay? And then they may or may not update the records. Okay, depending on if you lien them and all of that. You have to lien them and put everything in its proper, put them in their proper status. We are preparing for them not to be there. So we have to do everything ourselves first, and then we'll be able to use the systems and make those systems say what they need to say. Okay? So I would say that these records, you are hereby commanded to properly record this that has already been recorded.
Right.
Our court, in other words, our courts have spoken. Have your court to properly record it, because you know the land registrar is a court.
Right. Yeah.
So our court does it first, and then we enforce it on them.
Right. So is there a title for that document, or is that a notice, or what you've just said? Do you put that in a notice?
It's a mandamus. It's a mandamus writ. So it's one of the 13 great writs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got you. Yeah. Thanks. I yield.
Islam. Islam nobility.
I got a book off of the website correcting the position of the IRS enforcing the American Constitution.
I can't hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit louder?
Hold on 1 minute. Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. It's a little better.
Okay. I got a book off of the website correcting the position of the IRS enforcing the American Constitution, the obligations of the Moors, and it speaks about indemnity insurance and their bonds. I was wondering, where could you locate their bonds for the public trustees, corporation and public servants and all that? Where can you locate? Where are the location of those bonds?
So their bonds, the last time I saw bonds, they were on the same website that, let's say, a tax assessor, public records. The public records website for the county. Okay? The public records website for the county. That's generally where you can find that information. And sometimes you can call them and ask them, and sometimes you can call and ask where their bonds are filed, okay, or where their bonds are recorded, or who's their insurance company, and they'll tell you. And the city or county auditor will have that information too. City and county auditor or risk management will have that information.
Okay, and then you could put a claim against their oath of office. Is that correct?
You lien it. See, the only problem with claims is that a claim can be denied. That's why we do things the way we do them. Because a claim is just that. You're claiming something, and if someone else comes and says, no, you can't claim that, then there's some back and forth that will happen. Whereas what we're doing is giving commands, doing court actions, and liens on all of that. You lien their bond, and then you can do a universal commercial code, you know, a 1 and then a 9, you know, something of that nature. Any of the financial processes can be done that way. Now you can do a claim, but who are you claiming to? Because there's a court somewhere involved in claims, right? Who would you send the claim to?
Yeah,
a custodian?
Yeah.
You know, we've seen Moors who, you know, got into, you know, there was some violation, and the Moors filing these big quote-unquote lawsuits, and all they do is dismiss it. Don't they?
Okay.
Haven't we seen that?
Okay. Not really.
Because you're calling them a judge again. When you submit a claim to them, you're calling them a judge again. So all of the paperwork and all the documents that you put out there, you're saying, I really didn't know what I was doing because you're the judge and I'm not. That we can't keep doing that. We cannot keep doing that. Because see, in the past we would hear more say, I put all that paperwork doesn't work. Well, but they didn't tell you that they kept calling the fake judges and police, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't tell you that part. You know, and we're not blaming the Moors, but we've got to get competent, and the only way we can do that is to find out what's going on with us and point to it and say, hey, stop doing that. Or, hey, please stop doing that, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. But we at least have to point it out so that we can fine-tune, you know, we can fine-tune the things that we're doing. You know. So, yeah, those bonds are out there. Islam.
Thank you.
Islam.
Thank you.
With that being said, hopefully we have responded properly or sufficiently to your questions. We love the questions. Keep them coming because they're keeping us sharp too. And if there's any assistance that we can provide or anything like that, please be sure before, you know, as you're getting the assistance that you need, that you look at the videos and listen to the questions that the Moors have asked in the past and the things that we've gone over in the past, so that because your question will most likely be answered there. But if not, you know, and even if it is, we still need to discuss these things and talk about them among ourselves, you know, in our nation.
Islam.
Islam mobility.
I see a question in the chat. I don't know if you noticed it, but I'm kind of interested in it as well. It's saying, I've liened my Social Security, but according to the GMEI utility, I still have over 3,000 offshore accounts open and active using my Social Security number. How can I get those accounts closed? Now, my question is, you know, when we do the liens, because I've done the liens, the Social Security liens, and is that how we find out if they're effective? If we go on GMEI and see if they're being, you know, if the liens are working? Is that a way we can?
You can. You can use that method if you want to use that method.
So this question in the chat, I was wondering about that too. How do you get those accounts closed if they're still using them and you've liened them?
So we just talked with the Empress who put that in the chat. And she did all of the things like leaning the social and all of that, but then we talked about how there was a contract made in the interim using the social, and then all of that stuff came back up.
You know,
so we have to re-invoke jurisdiction again, okay? And we can do that verbally, or we can do that on paper. Re-invoke jurisdiction, sovereign jurisdiction where Social Security numbers are concerned, you know, because we pointed out that as you're reading that, nobility, look at the language that is, and Empress, please don't take this the wrong way, but we have to look at this. It says, I still have over 3,000 offshore accounts. She doesn't have those. Those are not hers. Those are created by the fraud. Okay. And then it says, actively using my Social Security number. That's not her number. That's a fraud number by the corpus. So, proper language, okay, how can I get these accounts closed? Re-invoke jurisdiction again. Re-invoke. And then wait a little while. It may take a month or two for those to disappear, but they will.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just have questions in my mind about, you know, a lot of these things are implied certain things, but I'm saying, okay, these things are true regardless. Okay, like you're saying that a slip of the tongue or just a misword can just cancel and throw a wrench in the whole situation. But if we are who we are, just like it's coming out, and of course we're learning more about who we are and what that means, it still doesn't change what it really is. Just like if I make a mistake, because it's kind of like people will find mistakes in when you say something, because I've seen people correct you, or hey, now watch that, or you said that, da-da-da. And you know, a lot of that is in what you meant when you say it, because your intention and all that has a lot to do with what you say and what it means. But you know, I know we have to nitpick in a lot of ways because you know you're making distinctions here. But you know, your intent has a lot to do with it, and what you meant to say has a lot to do with it. Okay, when she said my and all that, how can that cancel out something that's true anyway, regardless of what you say? Just like we can't contract with them even with our consent. So how does that get canceled out when somebody say, I got a contract with you? Even with my consent, you don't have a contract. So in a larger sense, what is true, but, you know, I know, you know, you're going to make mistakes when you speak probably according to somebody else. I know somebody probably can correct every sentence that we say. Oh, now, wait a minute, don't say it like that. Where you can get deep with it, but you know your intentions. I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying?
So our ancestors want us to know that every word counts.
Yeah.
They want us to know that. They want us to know that we're so powerful that we can. The power of life and death is in our tongue. That's in the ancient text and the scriptures. The power we're learning to be gods, the gods that we are. We're already gods.
Yeah.
But we have to remember how to be gods after the fall.
Exactly.
And God is perfect regardless. But this dimension that we have volunteered to come in to perfect this dimension, because it's this dimension that's being perfected by us being here. And in the process, we're being further perfected. But we have to know that, and see, the ancestors are trying to get us to think. So that before we say, and you've heard the term think before you speak. We've gotten so used to not doing that in our sleep, that we're having to learn again and remember how to be the gods that we are. And that means every word. That's why the bibliotext says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, because it's by the Word that all things were made. And so our exercise here is to get our words back into alignment with who we really are. You're right. In the spirit realm, none of us have ever committed a crime. We've never told a lie. We're perfect in the spirit realm. But then we said, let us go down and make man in our image. Well, we were making ourselves in our own image. And then we said, okay, let's create by using the word. Well, if we're using the word to create, we're still using the word to create. And that's why we have to learn how to perfect what comes out of our mouths, even though what's in the spirit realm is true.
Yeah, but it's a lot of variables in there, like what things mean, your intent. I mean, you know, you might meet somebody that really can't speak well, but you know their intent comes across. They might be using the incorrect word, but that's not their intention. And so I think that overrides things. And then plus we all have interpretations, no matter what the base definition is. That's the reason why they say words can't really explain reality. It can only allude to it because reality is huge. It's beyond words. That's why words have so many different meanings for the same words, because it cannot really adequately explain beingness. It can allude to it.
So,
but I'm just saying, you know, it's a lot of variables.
It's really not a lot of variables. It's really not.
It's some variables.
Well, the only variable is we keep speaking.
Well, what do we mean? Speaking. What do we mean when we speak? What is our intent? You know, and
as God, we should be able to articulate that, and that's why. I'm so grateful that you're saying this, because that's why we use ancient English and we define our intention. We put our intention into the document. That's what ancient English is all about.
And your definitions, your perception.
Yes, and it's intention based. It's an alkaline, intention-based language.
Yeah.
Because it's created by us. It comes from us. Whereas corporate English or common English is inferior to our godness. It worked when we thought we were those statuses. When we thought we were corporations or citizens, or we thought we were the common people, that language worked while we thought we were there. But now that we've elevated, because that's what the Grand Rising is we rise up to our godness in every way. Now, we shouldn't let that put any pressure on us, because we're going to do it anyway. We're going to rise anyway, especially because we will to rise. But where language is concerned, the God, we have to, that's why our prophet said, if I can just get you to think, you'll free yourself, because he knows you got to think before you speak. But we were not used to thinking before we spoke in our sleep. And then some were, but some things got to be a habit, because some of us were in corporate America where we absolutely did think before we spoke, but we were using corporate and dead terms and dead language and all of that. So, and dead intentions, when that's not who we really are. So now it's time for us to rise further and use language for what it was intended, or, and this is why we say we speak by affidavit. You don't have to say anything. You can send an affidavit and because with affidavits you have time to think it through. That's why we send the affidavits, and we don't pick up the phone and go, can I speak to so-and-so? Yeah, did you get my affidavit? Okay, are you going to open that bank account or that this or that, you know, because, and again, you've heard in the past, when I first woke up, I was doing all of that too. And, you know, but I found out very quickly that they only speak in one dimension unless you put them in subject status. And when you put them in subject status, you still don't have to speak to them because you send your affidavit. That's why our paperwork precedes us. And then even when we do speak to them, we do it by court action. Because we're saying we are the law. Now we have to be the law. Every time we open our mouth, it's the law coming out, especially speaking to subjects. And that means that we have to think about what we're saying and the words we use. Because it's by our word that everything is created, and it's also by our word life and death, and that's commercial life and death. We can't keep living off of the excuse that, oh, well, you know, people just talk like that. You know, the ones who are charged with governing this vast estate, no. You can't just say anything. Or else
that's true.
You can't just say anything. This estate is too vast. Would you, I mean, you know, the subjects gave us a little bit of a hint of that when they put the one that was doing business with the subject Donald Trump up there, and they said, you know, listen to how he talks. Look at how he talks. They're telling you, you can't just say anything. You can't. You're the nobility. And now is just as good a time as any for us to know how to speak to first to each other, and actually first to ourselves. We have to speak properly and nobly to ourselves when we're describing and thinking through and having conversations in terms of internal, you know, our energy. Then the people around us in our immediate environment, we have to know how to speak properly. And because when you're speaking, you're actually stating. What does that mean? That means that you're presenting your state, your sovereign state, whether that be presenting your sovereign state on an individual level or as the state. You're speaking. So it is imperative, important, high priority that our language states us properly. Because that is where the enslavement came from. That is where the consent came from. That's why it's so important for us to get it right. The consent, we would not have gone through any of this had we not gotten relaxed to the point where we just let our language and anything come out, and we were, you know, using other foreign language, which corporate English is foreign, you know. And before you know it, we're in captivity by the use of capital letters and capitalism. And cap means head. So the captivity started up here with the language, the things that were being said up here. And it ends with that too. We are not spending another 10 years, 5 years, 100 years. That way, we're not. In fact, we're done with it already. So it's time to get our language. People think that it's, you know, oh, I'm just trying to express myself. Nope, can't do it. Not like that. Because it's not that anyone's trying to tell anybody what to do, because you can't tell someone what to do anyway. It's that when you get into testing and to situations where you're being tested, that by reflex, the truth comes out. The truth comes out. Because there's a difference between the truth and Dred Scott. Dred Scott was plaintiff in error because he thought he was a citizen. He was plaintiff in error. And we don't want to be that. And everything that we say and do is a court action. It's important, more that we get our language right. And, you know, some may get a little, you know, but on these calls, I think that it's important that we show the new Moors, because there are heirs too, and you know, a lot of us have heirs that are new Moors or have not proclaimed yet. They need to know that our truth and our jurisdiction is in the language, because Babylon is real. That's a real thing. Babel, the Tower of Babel. That was where the fall happened, but it's also where the rise happened. It's all in the language. We have to know that we are not, that we're separate from anything that has to do with a court or anything created by the United States Corporation Company, the dead one, because they were hypothecated too. There's a living United States Corporation Company, and, you know, all of that. And that's why the distinction is so important, because we're moving now into the estate, into the full manifestation of the estate. And as we move into the full manifestation of the estate, we're going to have to know that Social Security numbers that were presented by the dead United States Corporation Company is not us. That's not us. That's not ours. You know, and again, we've all said those things at one time or another. You know, we've all said those things at one time or another. But when we know better, we have to do better, because our heirs are depending on us. And all of the nations of the earth are depending on us too. And then we're depending on us. We want all that our state has to offer as well. Okay. So with that being said, we have gone now about Islam nobility.
Just real quick, embossing. This is kind of far back. When you was talking about the embossing, is it, you know, the pyramid? It's when I call into these places to get the embossers for the, you know, for the embosser.
Mm-hmm.
I got the stamp, but the one for the pyramid, they're giving me the runaround saying, well, it has too much detail. I can't do that one. How are
Tell them to do it anyway.
Oh, do it anyway.
Tell them to do it anyway. I did. Because they, you know, I've heard all kinds of things about them not wanting to do it. I've heard, oh, well, you know, the letters are too close together. They're too small.
Yeah, right.
You know, all of that. It's going to come out distorted if I do it. Well, do it anyway. Because we said do it. And I didn't say because we said do it, but that's what I meant. That was my intention, is just do it anyway. Do it anyway. And all they'll do is note that, well, she said to do this, but I told her it was going to come out this way and that way, and that's fear-mongering, because they don't want us to get these, you know, they did not want us doing the things that we're doing, because look at what has happened since we started in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, you know. So just have them do it anyway. Just tell them do it anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. We have to know that.
Oh, I have a question.
Anytime they say, you know, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't, that's like a 2-year-old saying, I can't give you back the candy. We have to speak, command. Islam Empress.
Oh my goodness. I didn't want to lose you before you it was over. But I have a question. So, on the California Constitution has a Magna Carta with it. So will I do both?
Really?
Yes.
No wonder they are giving us so much problems, and they're not giving us problems about California, but no wonder people keep pointing at California.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. So that's where that came in at. Okay. Hey. How long is the Magna Carta? That's that one that's attached, because there are several.
Neither one of them don't seem that long.
Yes, I would do it.
Okay.
Yes. Because that's going to put a nail in a coffin, Empress. I'm going to have to take a look at that myself, because this is the first I've heard of that, of it being attached to a constitution. Yeah. That's why. Now, you know what? New York might have something like that attached to it, too, because they keep pointing at New York, Texas, and California as if there's something about them that...
Yes. Like their benchmarks or landmarks or something.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
That is valuable information, Empress. Thank you.
Yes,
please do. Yes. And again, all Moors, no matter what territory you're in, please rewrite the Constitution for that territory. For me, it's Washington. For her, it's Khalifa or California territory. The ones that they call a state constitution, put it in blue, in capitis diminution minima, which means first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lowercase. Put it in blue, put it on the public record, and also forward a copy to us at thegovernment@gmail.com, and government has an E on the end, so that we can put the stars back on our banner of amity and commerce. Because we have one. It's the one that the Prophet Noble Ali was holding. And he was holding our Moroccan flag, and he was holding the banner of amity and commerce. And I was wondering, what is he saying? Because I knew there was more to it than what I was hearing in the grapevine, in the wind. Because I heard some things, and people were, he said he meant for us to get along with blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute. Yes. We know everything was hypothecated. We had a banner of amity and commerce. It's a banner for amity and commerce. And that's where the delirium comes in at again, more, is once our banner has that star on it, because the Constitution and then a county charter, whatever county territory that you're in, county territory, the county charter, rewrite the county charter in blue, in capitis diminution minima, and put that on the public record and forward a copy to us, so that we get this thing covered, okay? So that we can, because there's some things that come after this that have everything to do with the treaty that we made with other nations in our territory. Because I was listening to the Empress Mia, I can't think of her last appellation, Mia Motley. Yes, Empress Mia Motley, who's the Prime Minister of Barbados. And she has done such a marvelous job of breaking down the financial system, because she knows it very well. But she was also looking for a way around it, because it's been holding them back over there. Because they know all about government, they know how to govern, but that financial system was the only thing bridling them. But she said in her recent video where she spoke at the World Trade Organization, and the World Trade Organization is now led by 3 empresses. It was 3 empresses on the panel, and the Prime Minister Mia Motley she gave the lecture for that day, and in her lecture she said that that they've been kind of like doing things with the meager resources and the meager treasury that they have. She said, but these were her very similar words. She said, but we know that, if you have a treaty, then you can get around that financial system, and use your own financial system. She said that in her speech on the That's why there were no foreigners on the stage, because somebody somewhere knew she was going to put that out there. Treaty nations have their own financial system like the one that we have. And you can know that corporate system inside and out, but if they're holding the finances back like they're doing Barbados, Barbados is fully self-governing, if you ask me, from what they're doing. And they can't hardly move because of the finances are so meager and being held back, and they're being told you can't do this and you can't do that because you don't have the money. But she mentioned for the first time, because I listened carefully to them as they as they're blooming and blossoming into self-governing. And she said it out of her mouth, and I knew this, and that's why the treaty had to come first with us. The treaty came first, and now we're working on all of the constitutions to put that banner for amity and commerce. That way our commerce across the territorial boundaries that we have set up cannot be violated. And we can use Galarian Bank from one bank to the next, all over the place, anywhere we want to use it. That's where that comes in at. And then the territorial constitutions that we're putting in place, we also put the county charter in place, and that's going to connect those two to the land. That way, what they call interstate commerce will be going across the land instead of corporate conveyance methods. And so with the Dalarium, we already know that it's viable, commercially viable. There are some things we have to do, and we have to do it together. And that is why the banner of amity and commerce, we've been looking at that banner and looking at it and looking at it, going, we know something's going on with it. But then when we heard our teacher say that that's ours too, well, what that really means from our perspective, and this is just our perspective, this is not, I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but what that means from what we can see is that there was a hypothecated one and there was a real one, and the real one belongs to us, but we have to originate it properly. And properly originating it means putting the state constitutions, and I'm using that word in all lowercase letters in red, the state constitutions, which are 1- and 2-word constitutions, in other words, Washington Constitution. It's not Washington State, it's not State of Washington, because it's a territory, it's a reservation. So it's the Washington Constitution that I'm putting on the public record. And again, any other Moors who are in the territories who want to do the same thing, please do the same thing, because a lot of us are in different counties, and even if we're in the same county, we still need to speak for our own vast estate too. And I'll do it, and then if you want me to send it to you, I'll send it to you. So it's all good. We have to do these things so that we can put the 50 stars back up there. And then make sure that our brothers and sisters overseas, again, those who are in the other territories such as UK, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and other places, we need to prepare to do treaties between us. And those treaties are already written. We just have to, again, do the same thing. Look at them, put what we see on government letterhead, put it in blue and capital diminution minima, study it, read it, edit it, and put it on the public record. That, yes, we've treated. UK, we specifically definitely need to treat sometime soon. I want to get through the Constitution, the Washington Constitution, and one other thing. I want to get through those two, but we even know which treaty it is. It's the Treaty of 1783 that we and UK Moors need to do together. And we all are going to be present, those who are sent to be present in the signing of this treaty, because we can do it right here on this platform and agree to sign it. And in fact, we'll put, and I just heard Justice Consu give his Islam, so that it's really already on the public record and done because we've spoken it into existence here. But we want to be sure that we put it on the public record, you know, over a while, you know, in time, okay? Hold on for just one moment, you all. Just one moment. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? We will go ahead and adjourn. Islam.
Consul, UK territory, talking about the treaty between Morocco, Great Britain, Ireland, and which also applies to Australia as well. I did do a little bit of changes on it. As you said, I put the Empire State of Morocco on it, and I've edited a bit. And what I want to do is to send you a copy to have a look at it, and then you say it's okay. Then I'll put it on the record. So I put the court action in it.
Yes. And I'll autograph it and scan it in and send it to you, autographed and stamped and sealed and everything too.
Okay, well, I will do that tomorrow. I will send you a copy because I've already done it, completed it. I've sent a copy.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I sent a copy to Justice Morley to also have a look at it. I don't know if he's had a look at it. He's on the chat right now. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, I will send you a copy of what I've done it. Because what I've done everywhere it says Great Britain's Queen. I put that in blue. Yeah, like you know. Well, I'll send it to you tomorrow. You could have a look at it, and you could have advice on what's the next step to do with it. Well, I know what to do with it. I've already done it. It's just I'll put it on the public record so that all can see.
I cannot thank you enough.
Ancient English in there.
I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough, nobility.
Okay, I will send it to you tomorrow. I hear.
That needed to be done. It needed to be done, and I'm so glad you did it. I'm so glad you did it.
Okay. So.
And then we will do it at probably either next Thursday or the Thursday following. We will officially sign or autograph it and share it and have the heirs autograph it so that we know that we've done our due diligence. I will say this about all of this, and then we'll adjourn here. Thank you so much, nobility. I'll say this, that some people might think that, and I had someone say this to me today, and it disturbed me for about a half a second, where they were saying, you know, you can't be doing things all by yourself. And, you know, it kind of took me aback a little bit, and the ancestors came right on in and said, you are not by yourself. All these Moors are with you, and the ancestors too. But, you know, the one who was saying that, I know he meant well. I know he meant well, but he was saying, you know, kind of insinuating that I'm acting out here alone as a free radical, but that's not true. That's not true. It's obvious to me that there are many with us because we've seen the statistics. You know, we've seen the statistics. Even on social media, when we pulled the statistics from the Moorish American Consulate public records page, there were Moors from all over the earth. All over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Another thing I want to mention, Prince Uriel Bey. For those who haven't got the consolidated talisman or economicus, I would, I'll put it on the chat on Sunday. We have a chat. If not, I'll put it in the chat next week. But also, it's at Mariam, it's things that the rest of the Moors needs to get in touch with and know what's happening at Mariam. There's also information coming from that sector of Moors as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in the book Consecrated Talisman, there's a lot of his Prince Bay has put lots of information in there about treaties, constitution, about documents from way back when. So it's a book that I think every man should have.
Yes, it's necessary, all necessary. I receive a lot of information throughout the day about the case laws and the treaties and things too from some of our teachers as well, and some that all of us learn from. And obviously it's time for us to go ahead and manifest these things. So thank you, Nobility, so much, because that means that I don't have to go, I don't have to, you know, I can keep moving because I trust. And we're going to look at the document and put it on the public record the way that we do. We'll read through it and put it on the public record, you know. So thank you so much. That is just, my heart is so glad right now. So, because we look at a lot of paper, we see a lot of documents throughout the day, and a lot of things, and everything we see needs to be done that way. It needs to be changed, upgraded, done, because all of it plays a part in governing and in what we do, or else it wouldn't even be on the public record. It's there because there's a role for it to play, and we want to make sure we capture everything that has to do with us. You know. With that being said, we will adjourn here and meet again on Sunday. And Sundays we have not been recording the call. We've actually just been talking among ourselves and communicating with one another, kind of sort of off the record, so to speak. So we'll meet again on Sunday. And what we might do is just record it but not put it on YouTube. Okay? Because it just seems like so many beautiful things come from that we can use to encourage ourselves. It's, you know, I know for me it can be encouraging to hear the things that we heard this past Sunday. I wanted to show you all one thing too. I might as well show it to you now. We were out on YouTube. First, we want to keep our eyes on building our nation really quickly, because there's a lot of noise out there. Ukraine, Russia, all of that, that's all distraction. Viruses, that, you know, and all of that. That's real for some people, but we have to keep our eyes on building the nation. But what I really wanted to show you was we were out on YouTube, and this comment was placed under one of the videos. Here's the comment. This is the comment. It says, "Good afternoon. My husband's company just accepted the dollarium as legal tender. How do we turn it into USD American dollars?" It says, "We can't seem to find anyone else who will accept it." Okay. We may see that every now and then with those who are beginning to accept dollarium, because dollarium is being accepted on many levels. And the people are getting very smart about the fact that they see what's happening with the fiat currency, or the fake fiat, and they're wanting something real. So our response to that was this. It says, "Thank you for your service. What territory are you at? Are you a corporation? Have you reconciled the payment with either the U.S. Treasury or your bank?" Because we know corporations talk to corporations. Even though she's a person, she's a being who is doing business as a corporation, her corporation must speak to the banking corporation in order to have and enforce the Constitution on them, in order to have them honor the dollarium that was accepted. It says all commercial corporations are to speak directly to the banking corporations that you have contracted with, and or the U.S. Treasury, in order to reconcile prepayment ledgers. Okay? So, and I blocked out the identity, the social media identity, but the comment is still out there under our video on YouTube. So people are accepting the delirium. They're waking up and starting to really, even on this past Sunday, we had one of the Moors do a testament where delirium was accepted as well. But we want to make sure that we demonstrate the delirium, first of all. Let's demonstrate it. And, you know, because some people are just assuming that people won't take it because of what they're accustomed to, but people will take delirium because it comes from us and they know they're on our land. Okay, but we got to lean and all of that. We got to put all of that in place first, okay? With that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace, love, and grand rising.
Islam.
Peace, love, and grand rising.
Islam.
Thank you, everyone.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. And we will disconnect the call in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Islam.